Look out! It's only two middle-aged geeks on film.
We're gonna get sued. You have to stop. We're gonna get
I
sued.
will never stop. You see, the cute thing is you think anyone who listens to Brett Goldstein's podcast that's, like, involved with it is gonna send this to him.
I guess it's technically the hope. It's like it's one of those things that like it feels like it shouldn't be the hope. It's like you're stalking somebody and like get called out for like yeah,
You're
get a
stalking
restraining
someone. What a
order.
great way to start this is, yes, and now we're stalking someone.
He's gonna get a restraining order out on us at this point. We did
Well,
this
you know
just so
what?
you'll notice us, Brett.
Yeah, look, I'm just trying to get us onto the podcast. This is the only way I know how to do it.
This is like the virtual tagging in a way. Like instead of tagging somebody's social media, we're just gonna shoot our shot into the world, and hopefully somebody hears our your Brett Goldstein
Well, look,
impression.
man, I learned from Lin-Manuel Miranda. You don't throw away your shot, you know? I've been rewatching Hamilton a lot lately. I can't imagine why.
Who knows? Who knows?
No, no.
Lin-Manuel, what a wonderful individual. So much fun. You know, I got to say, it's speaking of Lin-Manuel Miranda, the show that they do in New York City, I can't remember the name of it now. Damn it. It's like the improv show they do.
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about?
Freestyle Love Supreme?
Freestyle Love Supreme. Yes,
Dude,
yes, yes.
I
yes.
have the poster for that one up, or the window card. I think that's
Right.
what they call the Broadway versions. I have a signed one up there.
Oh, nice. I love that show. Like we go down.
It's so
I've
fucking good.
seen it quite a few
It's got
times now.
UTK, brother.
I know. I was gonna say it's got UTK. Well, Kim, I don't know if I ever told you, Kim was one of the people who got on stage with them once because, like, you know, they shoot
Yeah.
their shot and stuff. And it was like her birthday. So they brought it up and she did the whole thing. I was like loving watching
Was it the day in the life one that they like to
Yes.
do? I fucking love that.
So good. It's so good. It had to be her birthday. So they actually improv around her birthday and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, such a great show. UTK was so good.
So I feel like maybe I've brought it up on here before, and if I haven't, this is the perfect time to. But they did a documentary that came out on Hulu during COVID about Freestyle Love Supreme.
Yes.
And it's really, really excellent. If you've never seen it, and like we've kind of skirted around, but it's basically it was an improv group that Lynn was involved with that he helped create with like Chris Jackson and Utkarsham Bakar and like all these guys, and they've been doing it ever since, and they've actually toured it, but it has like on and off stints in New York where it will like stay for a little while as like a residency, and then like it'll go out on tour again, and then it'll come back and it'll do like another longer residency, etc.
Right.
They're amazing, and every show is different, and it's interesting because it's one of the only shows that I've ever been to, and I love this for them for doing it, but they actually make you bag your phones because they don't want anyone recording it because every show is unique.
Right.
And I love that they do that because it forces people to actually watch the show.
Yeah, 100%.
Like you actually have to watch it. It's great. And you can't just be sitting on your phone and shit, which is becoming like a whole thing now.
Yeah,
you see it all the time with people talking about they go to Broadway shows and people are fucking on their phones now.
It's ridiculous. We lost theater etiquette a long time ago, and I don't know if we're ever going to.
COVID just sped that up.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And you know, like it's like we're guilty of it, like at home too. I mean, even at home, like you do it.
But you're at home.
But you're at home, absolutely, and absolutely. But like it's got that kind of like feeds into like it always happens. Like you're always on it, and you just never stop being on it now. And like it's kind of a pandemic of its own, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's not as, and it's just as contagious, quite honestly.
No, it's a straight up actual issue though. And I mean, it plays a huge part in why they're trying to chase all these ideas of why people aren't wanting to watch like long form content anymore or movies and things like that. And it's like, well, because they're watching 30-second videos on TikTok or Instagram or what used to be Vine. Like that stuff changes people, man. Like it sucks.
It really does, because I prefer. I mean, I it's not that I don't listen to this. I watch short form content, absolutely, but I prefer like a long time conversation with people. Like I get to know people I'm watching and stuff. Like we're long form content, or we're the way the dinosaurs with it as it is to some people.
That's fine. I assume that the people listening to us, it's only out of sheer will to live at this point. They're not actually doing it for any other reason.
Quite possibly. You know, it's funny. You brought up Lynn, and I brought up Freestyle Love Supreme. There was another reason I actually kind of connectedly brought up Freestyle Love Supreme a couple of weeks ago. There was I thought I hadn't mentioned this in the podcast yet. I knew you knew about it. But I had a wonderful experience for myself as a big Ed Harris fan. Ed Harris had 2 movies open up
You sure
the same
did.
weekend. It was Riff Raff, which was the crime comedy, hilarious movie. Go see it, or it's on digital now, I think. Anyway, Bill Murray's in it. Jennifer Coolidge is hilarious in it. God, what's his name? I'm losing his name. He's Century Bob. Lewis Pullman. Lewis Pullman's in it. Gabrielle
Fucking love
Union's
that
in it.
dude.
Yeah. Pete Davidson's in it. It's a fun time. The other movie that came out that same weekend, My Dead Friend Zoe, is a dark, emotional, with some dark humor, tale of the military, and UTK is in it, actually.
That's what you said.
Yes, he is in it, and he's a fun character. He's kind of like that, one of those like few brighter sides of the tale. It's a tale about like a female soldier who has PTSD about an event and everything else. She comes home. She's living. She tries to go live with her grandfather, played by Ed Harris, who is in the beginning stages of Alzheimer's, and he's starting to lose it a little bit. It's got that like humor of everyday life in weird situations, even in dark situations, you find that humor in it. So there's those moments, but ETK plays this guy who is he heads up, or he's like one of the heads of a local assisted living facility that the female lead and her mother is trying to kind of get Ed Harris to move into, even if Ed Harris doesn't really know about it yet. But she beats him. They go on like a date together and everything else. He's just very fun. He's very him. Very flippant, and but it's a great movie. I really do think it's a great movie. That's a dark one. It definitely is emotional. I was definitely bawling by the end, so I get it. But I was
it's funny
one of those
because they're both on digital now. I saw that this morning, and you were the first. I almost texted our group chat, and I was almost like, "Hey, Paul, it's your day. Like both the Ed Harris movies are now on digital. If you want to rewatch them."
I know. I definitely am purchasing them almost right after. I think I purchased them right away. I'm going to rewatch them later on. They're really fun. They're really fun.
Yeah, especially. It's so funny because honestly, UTK has become one of those guys for me that if he's in anything, I get super excited and I can't wait to check it out because he's had such an interesting road to getting to where he is. I love his hip hop career. I love his acting career. Most people on the podcast, if you watch any sitcoms, he's one of the 2 leads of Ghosts. And he's excellent in it. And he was originally supposed to be in Hamilton, and that didn't pan out. But like, he got sober in his life, and he's really like made a go for it. And he's become such a, I don't know, like a very instrumental part of who I have become over the last several years, because a lot of his music, while I was going through my divorce and things like that, really, really oddly spoke to me. And so I've really come to love him, not just as a musician and things like that, but like his sobriety journey is really like remarkable. And he didn't let losing Hamilton because of all of that, like tear him apart, which I really, really appreciate in a lot of ways, because, I think there's a lot to be said about how much we all drink and shit, just for funsies. And it's not a dig at anyone. I mean, I'm a goddamn bartender for God's sake, but like, there is something to be said about all that. And for someone to be able to like look at themselves in a mirror and go, you know what, now is the time to like clean that up.
Yeah, 100%.
Good on you. And he's just stupid talented. I love that Lynn put him in Tick Tick Boom. Like, he made a bunch of his friends have cameos in it, which I thought was great.
Yeah. It's that community that we love. We always talking about community and certain filmmakers, Kevin Smith, there's certain artists. They have those kind of people you use all the time. Mike Flanagan has his crew, and it just you get to like almost like feel like you're part of a community when you get to be fans of these movies. Every time we watch the Skin Universe movie, we're waiting for the Jason Lee cameo, we're waiting for the Ben Affleck pop-in, or waiting for like those kind of characters, because those characters we know and love. And
and they did it even. Did you listen to the Warriors album that they put out last year? Yes. Remember, he plays the leader of the Orphans.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
And he's fucking excellent in that too. And I'm hoping that means that he'll actually do it on Broadway, because they're actually turning it into a Broadway show now.
Right. And that would be great too, because he deserves it for sure. I mean, that would be phenomenal.
If you guys have not listened to the Warriors, by the way, it's a concept album based on the movie, and it is beyond excellent. If you like Hamilton, if you like In the Heights, if you like hip hop and like grand storytelling in your music, it's awesome.
Mhm.
It's so good. It made me go back and rewatch the movie again last week because it had been a
Yeah,
little bit since I had seen it.
fair enough.
And fuck, dude, that's a good movie
So,
too.
I do have to rewatch that. It's kind of gets a lot of play in our social circle because of our friends have a little bit of obsession with James Remar, and
Yeah,
it
yeah,
always kind of comes up the joking way. I know we respect him, but it's a
yeah,
running
oh,
joke. Watch what the
100%.
show. You'll
Yes.
eventually figure it out. The great cameo we got towards Jeff, our friend Jeff from our group chat,
Uh-huh.
calling him a jabroni, I believe is what it
Yes, yes, Jeff the jabroni.
is. As it is.
You're a jabroni.
You're a
It makes
jabroni.
me happy.
It is.
Um, I fucking love the Warriors.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I remember when they were gonna do the remake that Tony Scott was gonna do before he passed away. And dude, we were robbed because he was gonna do a modern day remake set in LA, and it was gonna
Yeah.
like he had actually gotten real gangs to like put their shit aside because they were all gonna be in the movie, and there was gonna be like a huge scene at Dodger Stadium and all this shit, and it just never came to fruition, and it sucks because
It does.
if anyone was going to make that movie, fucking A, dude, Tony Scott, if you're going to remake the Warriors, that's the guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a plot. He is just Tony Scott. If you ever watch anything I do, I am always a great espouser of Tony Scott. We were big fans of
You
Tony Scott.
literally, well, I mean, I guess it depends on when you listen to this. So if you're listening to this very recently, you just did one of your class actions
Right?
about two Tony Scott films. And
Absolutely.
or if you're listening to this November, you can go back and listen to Enemy of the State and Crimson Tide, which was the
Yes,
class action in that I am talking about.
correct. A lot of fun we had on that too as well. Tony Scott, wonderful filmmaker, phenomenal filmmaker. We both you actually mentioned this to me once, and I can't ever stop thinking. I mentioned a class action yesterday that if we had not gotten robbed of Tony Scott, we also would have had. And no offense to
Yeah.
the director of Training Day, Antoine Fuqua. That's his legal name, by the way.
Yes,
That's
correct.
his
That is his legal name, in fact.
from the director of Training Day, and he would have probably been the guy who did the Equalizer movies with Denzel Washington.
Mhm.
And I mean, Antoine Fuqua is a very competent filmmaker. He's a good filmmaker, but to me, Tony Scott would have done even more with that. I think, in my own estimation.
I can't unsee it the more I think about it. Because
Absolutely.
Fuqua is 100% doing it as a Tony Scott film.
It feels like it's Tony Scott.
Yeah.
I can't help it. It's a little bit Tony Scott light though, because he kind of misses a
Right.
little bit of that touch in a way. And again, not a knock to Fuqua. He's done a very good job. It's just it's my personal preference was Tony Scott, and I can't like help but think about what we possibly could have gotten there.
Yeah, it's so funny because then you look at, Top Gun Maverick, where I actually think it was better off that Joseph Kosinski did it.
I don't
Not,
disagree.
you know what I mean? And I think he did it the right way where he didn't try to ape Scott. He tried to do it his own way. Whereas
I would say outside of like the first scene, which is pretty much
right.
exact like copy of the
Well,
film.
so because they started it exactly the same, but like then once it's past that, like it is clearly him doing his own thing.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Versus trying to like make it have the Tony Scott feel and the Tony, even down to the colors and stuff. Like he doesn't shoot it like a Tony Scott film. It is clearly Top Gun done in the 2010s.
I would say, to be fair, quite honestly, I don't even know if Tony Scott at Top Gun era was really Tony Scott at that point. He really didn't solidify himself until the 90s, honestly.
When
Top Gun was great, Days of Thunder is good, but like it didn't have that that complete, like he knows the filmmaker he is. Like he went from The Hunger, which was like totally bizarre, whacked out movie, which I love, by the way. Great Susan Sarandon, David Bowie movie. And then it goes to Top Gun action. He has Days of Thunder, which is kind of the same, similar vein, basically the same.
Well, I mean, it's basically the same story.
Exactly, the same basic story. But then, like, he really got into like the '90s with Crimson Tide specifically. It was the one that kind of like really got him there.
Oh, for sure. I do think Top Gun is the beginnings, though, of it. And even
there's definitely some there. Absolutely.
Even Beverly Hills Cop 2 has some of it. Again, you're not wrong either. But I just more mean like you can see the beginnings of who he's gonna be, even down to like the oversaturation of stuff. That was all
100%.
stuff Kosinski avoided because he didn't try to redo what he was doing. He just tried to move Top Gun forward.
Yeah, agreed.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely almost felt like Top Gun Maverick kind of felt like we're taking the Tony Scott stuff. We're going to add some of the Mission Impossible stuff from Tom Cruise's era because he's kind of got that
Yeah.
stick to himself now. And he kind of mixed it together and add a little bit of, obviously, Joseph Kosinski because he's directed him in Edge Tomorrow and things like that. There's definitely a big plethora of things, but it made for a good movie. That's the important thing. It made for a damn good movie.
Well, it also helps that Ed Harris is in it.
Well, that helps for me. Absolutely.
Exactly.
And you brought it on. I didn't. That's a funny thing. You actually mentioned
that was for you. That was for you.
Which, by the way,
it's almost like when James Mangold did Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and he didn't completely ape Spielberg's style.
15:52. Okay, 15 minutes and 50 seconds. I will take the because you dropped it for me. I will pick this up, and I'll throw it out there. One of my favorite things about Top Gun Maverick is everybody talks about Tom Cruise's stunts, and rightfully so. But do you realize that there's a story that Joseph Kosinski told that Ed Harris has only like 5 minutes in the movie. It's a cameo.
It's the whole opening of the movie.
And he's awesome at it. Like he's so intimidating. I love like all like little looks he gives and stuff. Like ask him for coffee. He's like,
he's basically his character from The Rock.
He really is. He really is. Like you're scared of them. You scared them.
Yeah.
But he actually did his own stunt, which is actually pretty impressive. He walks out while Maverick flies the stealth fighter over top, and he actually literally stood there while the jet like flies right over the top of him. It like almost blows up the guard building that's next to you hear like the roof goes off the thing. He stands there, takes the shockwave, and like takes one little mini step back, just takes it. I'm like, damn, you're 70-something years old, man. Chill.
I love that guy, man. There's no one quite like Ed Harris.
No, absolutely not. So, Sam, thank you for allowing me to tell you that story.
Yes, of course. Look, anytime I can hear you wax poetic about Ed Harris is like when I'm waxing poetic like about just about anything these days.
We love
we're very passionate individuals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's so funny too because I think about it how you went to New York to see Ed Harris in To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah.
In the same way that I flew to New York to see Jeff Daniels in To Kill a Mockingbird because I could not because it's fucking Jeff Daniels.
God.
And like we have our guys, man. Like, you know, What the Show has James Remar, you have Ed Harris, I've got Jeff Daniels, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you ever? What's the group comedy sketch group they do? Impractical Jokers. I think we've talked about this before, but I don't know if I've ever mentioned it on air. There's a Impractical Jokers during COVID. They did this whole Impractical Jokers Zoom, like they had meals together and had this conversation. Well, they actually had Jeff Daniels on, and they had Ed Harris on.
Yes, that's right.
And the one that had Jeff Daniels on, the one I don't know the Impractical Jokers guys' names. I don't know. One of the guys was talking about how he told Jeff Daniels this story about when Ed Harris like followed him up after Jeff Daniels' run on Broadway. Ed Harris followed him up, like he like got illogically or irrationally like loyal to Jeff Daniels in a way, just briefly, and gave Ed Harris the stink eye when he saw him on the street. And then it was like, I don't know. So they had Jeff Daniels say "fuck Ed Harris," and there's this whole fucking bit. So then, like months later, one of the other guys gets Ed Harris to appear, surprising the other guy, and the guy just goes, "Oh God!" And he starts getting all upset. He's like, "I really do love you. I really do love you. Like I love The Rock and everything else." And then, of course, Ed takes it very well. But they tried to make this like pretend beef between Jeff Daniels and Ed Harris. And it was so fun. But the two were professionals, were fun, and they had a great time together. So,
see, we need more of that. Honestly, Jeff Daniels and Ed Harris need to co-star in like a movie about being old men together.
That would be phenomenal. That would absolutely be fun.
Honestly, the world would explode because you and I, like, they wouldn't be ready for how you and I. And just you throw Harrison Ford in it. Done.
You know what? We're 2/3 of the way there with Shrinking. If we can just get Ed Harris in season 3 of Shrinking now somehow, maybe Ed can be somebody else's father. I don't know. Maybe
Brett Goldstein's father.
Brett Goldstein's father. Boom, sold, done. Let's do it. Bill Lawrence. We're gonna throw that out there to you.
Yeah, Bill Lawrence. Hey, hit us up. We take small donation, unmarked bills. It's fine. Like you can pay us under the table. It's
money.
Good.
It's golden. It's money. I'm telling you.
I mean, look, all I'm saying is if Ed Harris, Harrison Ford, and Jeff Daniels shared a scene together in Shrinking season 3, it'd be the best thing ever.
I would die a happy man. I'd watch the scene about 5,000 times and I would die a happy man.
You realize that season 3 is shooting already right now too?
No, I know. We got the Instagram shot of Bill Lawrence with the video
Yeah.
welcoming everybody back. I can't wait for that to come back.
I'm afraid it's gonna make me very sad by the time it's over.
Oh, it definitely, absolutely, it's going to kill you. It's going to break you.
Yes,
Those
I'm
Bill
afraid.
Lawrence shows, that's what they do. They make you laugh, they make you feel all warm and cuddly inside, and then they kill you.
I just you're so not wrong, and I just keep waiting with the like Harrison Ford of it all. I'm really scared they're gonna do something,
Don't do it.
Yeah,
Don't
I
do it.
feel like I'm really scared they're gonna do the thing
My heart's
because
we can't even mention it. We can't even talk about it.
no,
Like, we
no,
just
I
look at
don't want to
both.
say the word.
My heart is
I
broken.
I already had to go through that once with him. I don't want to do that again.
Oh God, no! Please, God,
And
no.
that's not a dig at The Force Awakens, by the way. The Force Awakens is an excellent movie, and it made the right decision. It's just I don't feel like crying again.
Oh no, storytelling wise, it absolutely made the right decision. It's the older generation path. Yeah, it made a lot of sense. So, you
Unlike
know what
when I
though? You know what? Like it or not, just like in real life, if ever something like that was to happen in the show, you have his memory, will come back and let you know how good of a kid you are and how you can still be a good guy and bring you back to the light.
I gotta say, I fucking love that about Rise of Skywalker when they realized obviously like the movie was gonna have to like change and shit.
Right.
And Ford was the one, I guess, who had reached out and was like,
Yes.
hey, like I think I know how we can like handle this situation. I love that it was his idea. I
Yes.
love that they shot it. I love that it
Dude,
stayed in the movie.
For Carrie. I mean,
Yeah, dude.
obviously, if you don't know the story, like obviously, Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia, was the third film was pretty much supposed to be hers. Like it was supposed to be Harrison Ford was supposed to have the Han Solo big moment in Force Awakens. Luke was going to have the Last Jedi, and then they were going to have a big to do with Princess Leia in the final film. And then, of course, Princess Leia or Carrie Fisher passed away before that could happen. And we believed that the storyline was going to go. Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia was going to bring Kylo Ren, Ben Solo back to the light. And they couldn't do it. And of course, Han Solo had already been, off in The Force Awakens. So Harrison Ford, because he's so fond of Carrie, and amazingly enough, like for a guy who was always he always preferred Indiana Jones, honestly, and I get that, but like he had this like love and hate relationship for it. But when he came back to Force Awakens and he went to that celebration and like felt the love and the adoration, he really took a different look at the films again, and readjusted his feelings, and now had a real sense of, I don't say obligation because that feels like he doesn't want to do it, but like a real sense of ownership and a real sense of wanting to, be there for the film and like give back to the film and the fans and everything else. So he's like, you know what? I have this idea. I'm going to call up and let's make this happen. And if we can't have Carrie Fisher do it, maybe I'm the next best thing given the situation, the relationship, and everything else. Let's make that work.
And I'll say this, it ended up being like the best of both worlds because it leans on what happens with Leia in The Last Jedi with Kylo.
Right.
And then dovetails off of what Kylo had done to his father. Right. And to have that play out the way that it did, where like obviously it's not even that he's a real Force ghost, he's a memory.
Right.
But Kylo's having a conversation of his memory and realizing what he's done, especially after Rey decided to save him.
Yes.
And I just, dude, Rise of Skywalker gets a lot of flack for a lot of stuff.
I get some of it.
And I get some of it, but that movie's a lot better than it gets a lot of credit for, including that.
It's well overhated for a lot of dumb reasons, but
all three of those movies are. Let's call it what it is.
It's true, absolutely. Here we are. We just turned into Holy Snokes, a Star Wars podcast here with PJ PLD at this point.
It's so funny because it's one of those, we've talked about it before, because obviously you have the Star Wars podcast, and we very much like kept kicking Star Wars down the line because I love Star Wars. I just have no interest in talking about it a lot of the time online because I never know how people are going to react.
I get that. I've always thought like we could do it, but like I'm like that seems like I'm double dipping at that point. So why am I doing that? I would just do it on Holy Snokes in a way.
Well,
it makes sense of the channel. It'd be getting you involved. That would be the big thing. And so like it makes sense. It makes sense not to do it. We might someday do a Patreon thing or something like that, potentially. Maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll just keep it Patreon exclusive, maybe or something.
Maybe I don't know. It's one of those like eventually I wouldn't mind doing it because obviously I very much love the Star Wars movies. I just boy, some of the Star Wars fans just don't make it easy.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, it's not just Star Wars fans, it's just fandoms in general. Like
Well, I
every
know.
fandom, Star Wars, MCU. Speaking, that's the first, by the way, it's 25 minutes in. That's the first mention we've had of MCU. We have not talked a damn thing about what we're actually supposed to be doing on this podcast. Like we have this
So
thing
just
going off the
another day
rails.
ending in Y?
Well, I was about to say, like, we do this all the time anyway. We usually have this big, like, 20 to 30-minute discussion before we get into the movie. But usually we at least mention up top what we're doing, what the movie we're covering, and then we kind of go off. We had not even even touched base on what we're doing here. What
Well,
are
you
we
know
doing
how
here?
many times I almost did just because of the Ed Harris of it all, and I was gonna be like, "MCU's upcoming star, Ed
That's
Harris," and then
right.
I kept kicking it down the line, and then you finally picked up the ball, and I was like, "All right, I guess we could talk about it." But I mean, in the in the pantheon of things that are really overhated for no reason, we're talking about 2010's Iron Man 2 today. Once again, directed by Jon Favreau, this time with a screenplay by Justin Theroux. This was the follow-up, obviously, to the 2008's sleeper hit of the summer, Iron Man, and the third film in the MCU at large, as it
Mhm.
were. And this was the first time that the MCU started to show its own cracks in some capacity because it was the first time we started to get recastings out the gate of characters we had known.
Mhm.
This was the first time we really started to hear about the behind the scenes of the creative committee being involved and the way that they were kind of pushing people's buttons. But I think what's so interesting, and I've always said this, I've always preferred this movie to the first one. So I'm just going to lay the cards down on the table as it is. I've always preferred it. I've always felt like it was the much more personal film for the character. I've always felt like it was the more interesting of the films, action wise, the most interesting in world building. And as it turns out, like that stuff has aged like fine wine. And so has this movie. Because as it turns out, for all the flack that this movie has gotten over time, it's actually really good. And it's not only does it stand up, I think it's better than a lot of people have given it credit for as time has gone on, because I think that it aged really well with the rest of the MCU as the MCU also continued to grow.
I mean, I think people listening to us right now are going to be so shocked when we say something is much better than people think it is, because
Uh,
that's just pretty much our MO. That's
yeah.
pretty much our MO. I also want to throw out there, since we were talking about Star Wars, the screenplay written by The Last Jedi's own Justin Theroux. Uh,
Yes, correct. Yes,
the
the
code master,
man
the code
Justin
breaker.
Theroux, who shows up in everyone's favorite sequence in the film.
Yes, Canto Bite. Yes,
Yeah, the Canto Bite sequence.
but yes, talking about Iron Man 2, it's interesting. We had this like mini conversation. We try to limit like how much we don't go into depth with each other. Like we definitely don't go into depth with each other like before we get online here or get on our recording the podcast here. We kind of usually throw off like some like just thoughts as we're watching here. And there's some like open, quick like salvos, as it were. And I mentioned before, like I had often struggled with this film way back in the day, and I hadn't watched it in quite a long time, because I always preferred the first one because of the novelty of the first one. The first one being
Right.
like the daddy of it all. It's the one to start. It's like kind of like you feel like, oh, I'm getting into the MCU again. And this one always kind of I have some issues with. I am happy to say, as we'll go through it, I did warm up to this one more. And despite my last, you watched our podcast on Iron Man, I had said I had preferred Terrence Howard to Don Cheadle, despite Don Cheadle basically being War Machine from now on, or James Rhodes from now on.
Yeah, literally from the third film in.
Right, exactly. And like I'm the guy who's holding on to Terrence Howard was better in a way. I have in this film, this kind of changed my mind a little bit. I'm
Mhm.
not gonna lie. I still prefer, I think it's the physicality of Terrence Howard in the role. As far as like I look at James Rhodes, the character, the physicality of Terrence Howard's a better choice than Don Cheadle. However, Don Cheadle has something going on behind his eyes.
Mhm.
This like kind of it's not quite vulnerability, but it's this like deep connection to Tony Stark that isn't there with Terrence Howard. I really noticed it this time around.
Yeah.
I actually texted that to you. I'm like, you know what? What? I'm one who can admit when I'm wrong, and I
Yeah.
I was wrong in this one.
Well, it's funny because there's an entire podcast of you and I eating crow about Friday the 13th part 8. Like, we are not the type of people who are gonna be like, we were not wrong about a thing.
Right?
Because we
Yeah.
both went into that one being like, we like this movie more than most people, and we're like, maybe we don't like this movie as much as we thought.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's what
So,
happens.
well,
We
you
should
know
sit here
what's
and talk
funny
about this.
though? To your point, you hadn't texted me.
Right.
about having watched the movie. And we must have watched it pretty close together because neither of us texted each other being like, hey, finally watching it, whatever.
Yeah. I actually
Well,
didn't watch it until late last night. That's
yeah.
when I was watching it.
And I started to worry that you didn't like the movie so much that you didn't want to text me. And so I didn't text you to tell you I was watching it because
Right.
I didn't want to open a can of worms through text messaging
Right.
where we were going to be arguing about our thoughts on the movie. So I was like just totally like minding my own business, being like, look, I think he must not have liked it. Like, we'll talk about it on the podcast. Like, we'll get into it. And then you texted me and you were like, honestly, it is much better than I remembered it being.
Remembered it. Yeah, absolutely.
And I
No.
went, oh, thank
Woo.
God.
Ooh, thank God.
Because it's a look, man, there's some stuff we'll talk about. I think the third act is better in this movie, but it takes a bad turn like
Mhm.
right at the end of the third act that doesn't work.
It's funny that our conversation kind of went that way. We had these like I definitely still have struggles with it. You don't struggle with it as much as it. That's the interesting conversation we might have is that we are often simpatico, which
Yeah.
I guess sometimes doesn't make for great podcasting according to some people because we agree on a lot of things. I think it does. I think a
I
passionate
disagree with the assessments that it's only better when we argue.
right. I agree. I agree with you. Again, see, this is what
Thank
happened.
you.
I agree with you. But I do like that we have some uh I don't know. We have some disconnect on some of it, but we were talking about it very respectfully. We very much got into each other's heads. We're like, okay, you know what? I see your point. I don't really agree with it, but I see it. Um, I do have to touch base for real quick. You did mention Friday the 13th. And I gotta say, my first note I wrote on this film was were you like reminded of Friday the
Uh-huh.
13th series? Because we
Uh-huh.
opened just like the Friday the 13th series
Uh-huh.
last
Uh-huh.
time on Iron Man.
And it's so funny because I immediately caught that and I had forgotten that's how the movie opens.
So did I. So did I.
And I was like, "Oh my god, it's a fucking Friday the 13th movie." I it was immediately my thought. I was like, "We're seeing the end of the last movie again." But they do it the right way.
Right.
We see it from a different perspective. It's someone watching it on television of the reveal. Of course, the reveal being that it is Mickey Rourke, who has never been
Thank God.
asked back to the MCU
Oh.
after being involved in this film.
Mm,
Not a real shock.
mm.
And it's so funny because this movie does a thing where Tony Stark is faced with the two sides of himself
Right.
as the villains. One is the Tony Stark in the cave with the box of scraps, which is the
Mhm,
Mickey Rourke character, and
mhm.
then Justin Hammer, who is the side of him that has just been, you know, off doing things, but like, what if he wasn't as good? And it's such an interesting dichotomy because Tony is kind of forced to like battle himself while he's also dying. And so there's two sides of him that are coming after him while also dealing with his own internal shit. And I really dig that.
Not only that, but I actually looked into it later on. I didn't mention this in the text. In a way, it's also a third side of him. James Rhodes
Yeah.
is actually a third side of him to a degree. I mean, obviously, he wears the suit this time. He actually gets the next time baby. Sorry, Terrence Howard. Uh, he got Dodgy gets to wear the suit. But that's also another side of him that we don't see. That's the heroic side. That's the
Yeah.
real heroic side that he's kind of become in a way. I mean, he obviously represents that himself as well. But if you're going to split aside, this is like
Hmm.
the three faces of Tony Stark, really, at this point. It ends up being all together in one. He gets to almost see himself in three different ways.
If you ever wanted to know if John Favreau liked The Godfather, this is how you know that John Favreau likes The Godfather, because The Godfather as a movie is all about how Vito has three children who are the three sides of him that are not under control.
Right, right,
And so
absolutely.
that's what I love about this movie is that in some capacity you end up with three Tonys that are the different sides of him that are not under control.
Absolutely, 100%.
And I really like that. Here's the thing. The first movie is a novelty in and of itself. It gave us the MCU. Like,
Mhm.
I love it. Until I don't. I just don't like the third act of that movie very much. I don't think it comes together very well. I don't think it's very interesting at that point. because it doesn't feel personal. And I think a big part of that is because, as we've talked about, that movie was a lot more scattershot in how it was put together.
Yes.
And a lot of the stuff with Jeff Bridges is taken out of the film, and we don't get a lot of the, well, he kind of raised Tony. And this is Tony's, like, you know, surrogate father. We don't get most of that in the movie.
Yeah, we have to kind of infer a lot of that, and
Right.
it unfortunately, with the inferring, it really robs us of some great moments that we could have had potentially with Jeff Bridges and RDJ together. I think they could have.
Exactly.
They're both powerhouse actors, and having them really lean into that could have been really powerful stuff.
100%.
Unfortunately, it got kind of pushed to the side as we had, like we mentioned, it was really a tale of at least 2 movies, honestly, because it also is like he gets to the Iron Man thing and then it becomes Iron Man, and then the rest of it's like this. But we skipped over the real like layers there.
Yes.
Uh, it is coming from someone who honestly I preferred one. I still kind of do in a way at the end of the day. If it comes down to it, it's just not a spoiler alert. I'm still not sure where I'm landing on it. I have not graded this film in my head yet. I'll wait till we have our discussion. I decided that I do that more and more with our podcast. I don't come in. I used to come in with like a number in my mind.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, I'm gonna talk.
I never, it's the same way I go into a movie. I never go in with expectations. I
Yeah.
just kind of let everything happen, and then I land where we land.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm okay with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, me too. I mean,
Um,
adjust always as we go along too, as we tend to do. Like, oh, we
but
gotta
it,
push that back, and I gotta do this
right. It's
because
so
that's context.
right, exactly. And so, because that's all missing, the other thing this film does really well, and here's what I'll say. There's a lot going on in this movie. I'm not going to
Mhm.
pretend otherwise. Do I think that there's almost too much at times? Perhaps.
I'll say absolutely yes, there is too much. I'm gonna be a little stronger
No, no, no.
about that
And
one.
that's totally fine. But I think for me, even though it's doing too much, I feel like it handles it ultimately better than it could. And I don't think the movie gets as lost as people think it does, because I think that the cause and effect of everything is still very much in, like, within the film. Everything at least is happening around the situation as we know it. You know,
Mhm.
nothing like comes out of weirdly left field. Like, so much of the movie is built on the sins of the father and the stuff that happened with his dad, which great world building, by the way, about Howard Stark.
Mhm. Yes.
Now played by John Slattery, also a recast for these movies moving forward. And you have that going on. So all the stuff with Ivan and Anton is built into the movie,
Mhm.
which means all the stuff with Stark Expo is built into the movie. All the stuff with Shield is built into the movie. All of it comes from a place that we are aware of. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And part of that also is it's the cast because we
Mhm.
have a very strong cast. And outside of like, I mean, there's not really a weak link. If there is a weak link, I'll throw it out there, and you may or not disagree. To me, it's Mickey Rourke is a little bit of
Oh,
a
it's
weak link.
absolutely Mickey Rourke.
Okay, good. I'm glad we're on the same page. I wasn't sure. I think his accent is a lot of heavy working for him. That makes it
Yeah.
entertaining. To be honest with you, I want my Boyd.
That's the best part of the movie.
Right. That's his best part for sure. He's definitely the weak link, but everybody else in brief snippets has like great sequences and great things to bring in. RDJ, of course, we know is RDJ. He's
Yeah.
already in Iron Man 1, he proved how charismatic, not that we didn't know, but as Tony Stark, he proved how charismatic he was and how he was
Mhm.
going to be the shining star of the MCU. No doubt. But we also had a lot of great moments, like him and Pepper's chemistry in this film was even better,
Off
I
the
think, than most of the
charts.
first. It is impossible to replicate. This is like just so natural chemistry. Quick zingers back and forth, but like they're all like showing that love. They have this great deep affection for each other. It's the kind of relationship you're like, that's a damn good relationship, even if it's a little
Yes.
toxic-ish at times, maybe depending on Tony Stark's
And that's,
thing.
you're so right, and it's also the reason that the stuff with him and Cheeto works so well, because
Yes.
on the flip side of that is their relationship feels even more natural. They
Yeah.
feel like they feel like equals in a way I don't think that they do in the first one, and I think that does also play a little bit into the Howard of it all,
Yeah.
because
No, I
I
agree.
think,
Yeah.
yeah,
I do now this time because Don Cheadle actually
right,
has when Don Cheadle gets angry at Tony, it feels like it's more earned because there's like a hint of like, I don't know, it's like betrayal or something. Like
yes,
it's like you affect me because I love you so much. And that's why I'm even more hurt. Whereas Terrence Howard initially was more of just like you're fucking up my job kind of
right. You
in real
never
life.
believe the friendship. as
Right.
much as they tell us that we're supposed to.
Yeah.
And in this one, I really love it. Also,
Right.
credit where credit's due. When Cheadle shows up, I love that they very meta deal with it in
Yeah.
the way that Tony even goes, "I didn't expect to see you here," because everyone knew what had happened with Terrence Howard.
Right.
And Don Cheadle walks in and he goes, "It's me. I'm here. Deal with it."
Yeah.
That's it. And then we just move forward. Like
Right.
it's so perfectly done and handled so well that you don't care. And I love their relationship because it feels like a real partnership, a real companionship. It's what I hope people get when they watch you and I on a
Yeah.
or listen to us on a podcast. That's the kind of witty repertoire that I'm waiting for.
Right.
And they play it in spades.
100%. It gets effective throughout the entirety of the film. I mean, the first part we see, you said mentioned Don Cheadle comes in, has that shtick. It's at this big sequence where Tony Stark is
In front
testifying
of
in
Congress.
front of Congress, and it's Tony getting to show Tony as like I wrote this down. Like if this was a sports reference, if Tony Stark is on your team, you love him, and if he's not on your team, you think he's the biggest dick and you hate him. Like
Well, it
he's
helps
so
that Gary
arrogant.
Shandling also is a piece of shit in the best way.
Right, absolutely. That they work well off each other,
Yeah.
really great channeling. And having Don Cheadle there, who's kind of like you see him like trying to help Tony, like he's trying to to
Yeah.
undercut what Gary Shandling's character Senator Stern is doing, named after Howard Stern, I believe. Um,
Yep.
and he tries to do that, but at the same time, he kind of like lets Tony be Tony. Tony's going to hang himself a little bit because Tony is a guy. Let's face it, he has that fuck you money.
Uh-huh.
Tony Stark is that guy, so he could act this way in front of Congress. Fuck you.
Right. Well, I mean, he even says it, and you know me, I am not one to shy away from pleasuring myself. He's very aware of who he is. And you know what? That whole sequence also works because the stuff with Pepper is great, where he keeps turning and Pepper is sitting behind him, and she keeps like shaking it, and he's like, "Bad? Did I do bad?" And she's like, "Yes." Like Pepper can't control him, but
Right. But
but it works, and it's really funny. And the thing about all this is say what you will, every relationship in this movie feels so well defined around Tony, and that includes also Sam Rockwell,
Mhm.
who also appears for the first time in this movie in this sequence, as Justin Hammer, his
Yes.
rival and contemporary, and then also Scarlett Johansson as Natasha,
Yes, or
who,
Natalie Rushman.
dude,
Most of
yes,
them.
Natalie Rushman. I want one. No,
No.
I cannot say enough good things about how they build these characters up around him.
1,000%. I will agree. I cannot. I may have my misgivings about this movie at times, but that is not one of them. Don Cheadle brought up, Pepper Potts brought up. The Black Widow might be my favorite part of the movie, honestly. Her stuff is just, I forgot how much they flirted with each other in a way, like how much of that kind of like that sexual tension they had between them
Yeah.
happened. I totally forgot, but it added so much. It was so like humorous to watch. Tony
Yes.
with Pepper still having the thing with a little bit with Scarlett. And Scarlett,
She's a very expensive sexual lawsuit waiting to happen.
right? That's right.
Sexual
That's
harassment lawsuit, yeah.
so when she, of course, when Scarlett takes down Happy in the boxing ring, you're like,
Yeah.
whoa! It's so good. It's so good watching
Who
that.
speaks Latin? No one speaks
No.
Latin. This movie's a lot more quotable than people give it credit for too.
Yes.
It,
Oh
it
my
like
god.
and I hate to say it this way. Again, I do like the first movie,
Mhm.
but this feels like a movie. Like a constructed movie. Even with its problems, I can see the through line. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And I
Right.
see what they're doing with the characters. I see what they're building, and I'm like, "Oh, this is a movie."
Yes. Yeah. I will agree with that because, like, again, I mentioned it before. The first one kind of feels almost like two movies in a way, trying to
Yeah.
juxtapose. This does have a through line of it. We obviously have the introduction of the opposite, Tony Stark's opposite in Vanco, who obviously is Tony Stark because he can make it with a box of scraps, living in a
Correct.
dingy cave-like place at this point.
Yes.
Um, but we have that through line. We get to see Tony because we get the introduction to the toxicity of his blood. So you realize that he's on borrowed time, and that starts becoming a weighing down situation. Um, his sins of his father becomes a weighing down situation. And basically, he's got the weight of his world on his shoulders. Like, he acts really tough about it in a way. Like, yeah, I have privatized world peace. I am the one who saved the day. You should kiss my ass, basically. And I don't belong to anybody. I am the reason why you are here. But at the same time, like, when you start getting those personal moments, especially with the blood toxicity thing, that really kind of served to help, like, strengthen the idea that maybe that's a little much for anybody. But even for Tony Stark, it's a little much to have that weight on his shoulders.
Well, and one of the things I think the movie does really well, and again, I think this gets lost in the conversation about it, is that to Tony, we're seeing his world, right? Like, to him, he's the main character of his story.
Right.
And then when Nick Fury shows up, who we finally get to really see, like, we've only seen him in a post-credit scene to this point. Sam Jackson shows up and he goes, "You are not my biggest problem right now. And yet here I am having to clean up after you because you think like you're the world, but my world's a lot bigger than yours."
Yeah. 100%.
And I really appreciate that too, because it also really kind of hits home with Tony, where like he's been trying to do all this on his own. He thinks everything is on his own terms, only his way. Everything is about him. In a respect, sure, it should be, obviously, because it's an Iron Man film.
Right.
But it does a great job of being like, hey man, actually, like, you're not.
It's a subtle way to show that there are other heroes out there in a way that they're, or at least that they're coming. Like, in a way, it's like, yeah, you're the man holding up the MCU right now. You started the MCU. You had the Hulk movie, but you're the ones really doing this. We go right back. I mean, I kind of thought it was funny. You thought it when I texted you about it. You're like, oh, I thought Thor was next. I almost watched the wrong movie.
Yeah.
And because it's weird that Iron Man 2 is the third film, like, in such like a landscape. We have all these characters having movies now, all these team up movies, everything we have. Yet the very third film, they went back to the well right away to Iron Man.
Well, because Thor doesn't come out till the next year, but in my head, I don't know why I was like so sure. All I had to do was look at my shelf.
I know.
I have everything in release order on the shelf, but I just, in my head, I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go watch Thor. Thank God you fucking texted me.
Yeah, it feels like,
I mean, not that I couldn't have talked about it, but still.
It's true, absolutely. But it feels like it should be at least down the line a little bit. It's almost be Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, maybe even Captain America, then Iron Man 2, then the Avengers or something, potentially something like that. But no, it's like right away we're going back to the well, which indicates how big they were counting on Tony Stark. But having Fury in this film now, let him show more about the Avengers Initiative, like, as we do at the end, a little bit more. Rather, we know, okay, so there's definitely other people in this world that Tony can't do it alone.
No,
he really can't. And that's what's big underplays, because it's because of S.H.I.E.L.D. that Tony gets the information about his father and how he gets the information about the element that is created, which, by the way, that was way too maybe I was dazing. The whole I didn't understand what the scientific thing was, like him building the new element or whatever. I was kind of like, what exactly? Okay, so they're building a new element. He's making, did Howard Stark have it? Not, I got confused. I got to be honest with you.
Because you hear Jarvis say it.
Okay.
He goes, you can't just create a new element.
Right.
So at the time when he was doing it, you couldn't do it.
Okay.
It just took Tony being Tony, because, as we know, Tony is, like, even his father says it, and even Fury says it, like, he has to remind Tony that, like, your father loved you. He actually cared about you a lot, and he believed that you were this person. And so he built this element out of the map of, I mean, obviously the movie says all this, but the idea is that it was going to take Tony to see it through. So it was basically, they had built, the arc reactor, but they had a different energy to, like, push forward with it.
Right.
It's a little bit of a Deus Ex Machina, if I'm being totally honest.
It definitely threw that way, because I was like, if Howard did it and then Tony was able to do it, like, it just seems like it was kind of quick. And that's one of my biggest problems with the film is it does have a lot of abruptness to it. What's going on? Like, it's kind of like, I think the ending is really abrupt. I think the cutoff is very, like, it feels like the cure is almost very abrupt in a way. It's kind of like you're building up and all of a sudden, okay, we're good, we're moving on. I feel like the movie was afraid to be too long. Yeah.
Because we were still in that era of they weren't making movies that were more than like 2 hours ish,
Mhm.
like 2 hours and some change basically.
Right.
And this movie has way more deleted scenes than we've even seen, from what I understand.
I've heard
So,
that too.
yeah, like, I can see that because they basically cut a bunch out. I'm sure that there would have had they let the movie be even 10 to 15 minutes longer, you could have smoothed out a lot of that, like, a lot of those little things. But I ultimately find, at least for me, that and this isn't even, like, making excuses, I feel like it mostly all falls in line kind of with what I anticipate this stuff to look like. And the way for me that the MCU has built itself even over time, it
Right.
all plays within the confines of what I believe the MCU to be. And
Mm.
so Tony being the one who, yes, his father realized there was a new element, but he could not replicate it.
Right.
But creating a map for his son to figure it out when he knew technology would reach that point, that tracks to me.
Yeah.
Because we even see once, like, obviously, spoiler alert, getting ahead, is that in Iron Man or in Captain America, the first Avenger, when we're at the Stark Expo at the beginning of that movie, he's trying to do the hover car thing and it breaks immediately in front of everyone. That would be tech that Tony later uses, obviously, for his suit.
Right. Yeah.
So that type of stuff all is in the confines of what I anticipate it to be. I think it's just not I don't think it's fully explained, and I think that became like a commitment to keep the movies like clocking at the time and
Right.
just move, 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 like get it through because I don't think until the
Mm.
Avengers any of the movies are even 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah, that does track for me as well, and I don't. It's not like something that kills a movie for me, but it is kind of something I'm kind of like, oh, okay, so we're being asked to, or asked to believe it, just kind of asked to go with it. It's like, don't think too hard on this. Oh, okay, all right, let's move on.
Yeah.
But as part of the abruptness, I'm going to bring it up now since we're talking about abruptness. One of my biggest complaints about this movie is that, and even I texted you about this. There is a very famous, infamous Iron Man story from the comics called Demon in a Bottle,
Yeah.
and it is probably the most famous Iron Man
It's
story.
the most famous story by a country mile
Right.
probably in
Bob
his
Layton did it. One of great writers, comic art, or great Iron Man writers of the 80s. Also wrote a kick-ass Hercules miniseries, two of them. Just so you know, I love that guy. I love Bob Layton quite a bit.
I mean, he's a incredible.
Yes, and Perk's my favorite MCU character. Not MCU because he's barely in the MCU, but he's my favorite Marvel character. So I always pitch that Bob Layton. If you ever want to read a good Hercules story, Bob Layton writes two miniseries. They're phenomenal. Actually, three because he comes back and does one later on. Either way, I'm going off the rails a little bit as we do. But going back to Demon in the
Us
Bottle,
never.
right? Exactly. Demon in the Bottle is such a great like known story. It's tragic about Iron Man becoming an alcoholic and struggling with things. They like touch on this story in the second act here of this film, but they kind of like don't. It's done over really quickly, and to the point where like, why did you even touch on it if you're not going to like do it? Because it almost felt disrespectful to like.
Y-
You know what I mean?
you're really not wrong, and I hear you. It's one of those things because we've talked about it. I've had to learn really hard to separate myself from
Source material.
my feelings on the source material and the way that it is portrayed. Because
Mhm.
I also have to remember that like they're not directly adapting the comics, in which
Right.
case like I have to accept that this is one part of a multiverse of stories.
Uh,
So this is their version of Demon in the Bottle. The only problem is that you're right. It's done really quickly
without any like, depth to it,
without any
right? Like,
build,
right. And
and
it's over.
frankly, it feels like they're scared to really touch on it.
Yeah. I mean,
And that's the biggest issue,
yeah.
is that I know why they're doing it. It just feels like they're too scared to commit to the idea. And further, we're also not dealing with it in the way that the comic did, right?
Right.
Again, you're separating yourself from the source material in that, but him being an alcoholic and it being a problem is not the way the movie portrays it.
Yeah, it's not at all
Because
how it
it's
portrays it.
more that he's dying and he's just getting rid of everything, and then this idea that he gets really drunk one night at a party.
Right, exactly.
And
That's the deal.
so there's a part of me that does get it. but I'm trying really hard to accept it more as like they're doing their own version of it as a nod without directly doing it. And I feel like almost now would have been a better time to do it with the character, but now Tony is no longer a character.
Right. And that's my point, I guess. Like they
Yeah.
could have like used this as like a building block towards that storyline. We could have gotten this later on, but this were like, see, even back then he was always kind of like in danger of this kind of thing. And then he
Yeah.
really hits it. But without doing that, it feels like it just feels I guess in a way, maybe it's supposed to be like a nod to it.
I think it's
A
more
wink and
supposed to be a nod than like a
right?
full.
And I guess I'm a little bit hypocritical when it comes down to it because we'll talk about it much later on when we get there. But Thor Ragnarok basically scarfs down the Planet Hulk storyline a little bit, and really, I mean, I guess in a way it's even more offensive. It makes it a Thor story instead of a Hulk
Yeah.
story, and that's one of the more serious Hulk stories. But for whatever reason, it doesn't. I don't know. Maybe I'm just ready
Well, I
for it,
mean,
or I'm used to it.
you're
I don't know. It's hard to.
I mean, fucking Age of Ultron straight up just grabs a sequence from World War Hulk
Mhm,
and
mhm.
throws it in the middle of the movie,
Yeah.
like sight unseen. If you know, you know, but like,
Right.
and so that's kind of you're not wrong,
Right.
but it's also about being like, I have to be more understanding because like Civil War was a perfect example of they totally changed the dynamics of Civil War, but it keeps the spirit of it.
Right. And that I got though. That to me seems like, okay, I understand that this is entirely I guess it just felt like because that was such a big a serious big event with so many moving pieces, so many years, like, okay, you only have so many Demon Battle is such a more personal Iron Man story.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like it bothered me a little bit more. Did I get over it? I got over it, but I was like,
Oh, for
it's kind
sure.
of like I was kind of saying, going, that
No, and again, I don't even necessarily think you're wrong
right.
because I 100% see what you're saying. It just becomes one of those, and maybe it's just because we've had so many bad comic book adaptations
Mhm.
leading
Mhm.
into this, and I was happy to get a nod to it at all, and I
Yeah.
felt like they do it well enough that I can look past my frustrations of not just outright like doing an adaptation of it.
Right.
I think within the confines of the movie itself, it works well enough. The
Mm.
problem is that if you know the comic, it's hard to look past that. But if you can look at it as its own thing, and that it becomes is it telling the story within the movie the right way? And within the movie itself, yes, in some capacity it is. But the thing is it's being done in a way that is completely different than the comic at that point because he has not told anyone that he's dying.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, and that actually leads to might be my favorite exchange in the movie. Just at the
Yes.
very end when Tony is talking to Natasha, and but Pepper's on the other screen, and he says something. Oh, you're not dying now. And she's like, wait, what?
Mhm.
And he's like,
I was gonna make you an omelet and tell you.
I was gonna make it. That was my favorite line. I love it. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna tell you. And she's
Oh
like,
god, it's
save for the
so good.
honeymoon. Save for the honeymoon. All right. Yes, I'm still mad, but God,
No, and look,
it's
again,
so funny.
it's not even that and you're still not wrong.
Right.
But within the confines of the film, because they kind of take it's like not necessarily that the alcoholism is killing him, but he's poisoned himself.
Yes, correct.
And this idea that saving his life poisoned him is really interesting,
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. That is a very good point.
And so there's something to be said about we twisted the story and it works with as its own thing. Cool. It also leads to a great fight sequence between him and Rhodey because it feels
Yeah.
personal, because it
Yes.
feels like the stakes are there, because he's already, you have Rhodey being like, look, man, I'm trying to convince the military not to drive up the PCH right now to steal your suits.
Right.
And what are you doing? You're acting like a child
Yeah. That
because none of them are aware.
that sequence did hit hard for me this
Yeah.
time through because like, oh my God. Like I almost like saw it from a different side. I'm like, wow, this is like if you try to put yourself, it's a fantastical situation. Obviously, this is not real life. There's no Iron Man suit or whatever. But like you watch that and you like see, think about like someone we know, like some wild, crazy guy who is like unhinged and he has this
Yeah.
kind of weaponry on him. And at this party, you see it, you kind of like he's just like firing his blast at like and it's funny if it's like you're watching a movie, you're seeing your hero funnily do it. He's kind of like, you kind of laugh and go, ah, cool, cool, cool. But like if you actually sit and think about the storyline, it's like that's kind of a scary thought to have like something like that unhinged.
And I think the movie does a really great job of that.
It does a
Because
lot better this time. Because I kind of the first one I kind of just saw the surface funness of it
yeah,
in a way. This time though, I was like, yeah, I kind of sat in there. I was like, yeah, okay, it's a very
yeah,
scary thing.
and they're really good at, like, showing the reality of the situation through Rhodes and Pepper, because they're
Mm,
both there while it's happening, and you feel it, you feel the anger, you feel the pain, you feel the betrayal, you feel the frustrations, like, it's all there,
it's
and it's
all
not
there.
surface level, it's all there.
It is all there. Yeah, yeah.
And,
It's
like, Cheadle even tells him, he's like, "Look, man, don't make me do something you're gonna regret." And so he goes down and gets the suit, and honestly, one of my favorite things about that whole sequence is that when they start the fight, they're punching back and forth, and you can feel that it's almost restrained. Neither of them
no,
wants to be doing this.
and Rhodes is even more than Tony. Tony's a little,
Yeah,
worse for wear, so he's a little into it. But yeah, but at the same time, he doesn't want to do it either. Yeah, but neither of them really want to do this.
no,
Tony is just too arrogant to like sit down at that point, stand down. Just like
yeah.
Pepper ended the party, and she did end the party. It was actually good, and he could have like gone with that, but he, of course, being Tony,
But, of course, the party ended for me an hour and a half ago.
you
The
know,
after
after
party starts in
party.
15 minutes.
Right, and it's just because he is that's how he is. He's arrogant SOB. He's a guy like he's fun to watch from afar, but it's hard to be his friend. It's hard to
Yeah.
be his his compatriot there. So yeah, no, absolutely.
So, yeah, it all works. Also love the version of, the Queen mashup that they do during the fight is awesome, and it made me think of you immediately.
As soon as I probably like, oh, there it is. Like drop me a sick beat to whoop my
To
friend's
beat
ass.
my no, to beat my friend's ass too as he giggles while he says it.
And then of course, bum. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
there you go. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Oh, it's so good. DJAM, RIP. Yeah. But I freaking I like that sequence because again, it feels personal. And it's so weird. This movie, it feels more personal all the time because
Yeah.
and maybe it's because we've already spent time with the characters. And so you're living in the world, and I'm sure that plays a part, but it's written in a way that everything feels more high stakes.
No, actually, that's exactly what it is because we know these characters well. We don't have to get introduced to them. We're not. We kind of gotten a little deep with some of them, and even the ones we haven't, we've already at least passed the surface level part of
Yeah.
it. So when we see them going through their things, we are more inside baseball. We're more inside with them. So the stakes matter more. The personal matter more. They're like MCU family now at this point.
Mhm.
And especially the big three, as it were, Tony, Pepper, and even Don Cheadle as Rhodes. It still counts.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the characters feel that way, and that's what makes this film work. Because I got to tell you, without the characters, if this was like Iron Man 1, this could have failed.
Yeah.
Absolutely could have failed because you need that background, that depth with them
Yeah.
in order for this to work, in order for this to overcome the sloppiness of it, the chaoticness of it, the I don't know what we're going to say. It's just like it's a mess overall in some ways.
The
But
funniest thing is I hear you, and I think the only thing that's really terribly messy for me is the stuff with Vanko. Because ultimately, I feel like his character is so unnecessary to the movie in some capacity.
he slows it down so much. Like they know what they want to
Right.
do with him. The one scene that works and with Tony and Vanko is the scene in the prison.
Mhm.
After the race, after the grandma, when Tony, for whatever reason, has fuck you money and decides he can drive it in an actual.
God, the Grand Prix sequence is great, though.
It is. Oh, it is. It's
Oh
like
my god.
stupid conceptually when the actual execution of it's really kind of cool. And Vanko stepping out there, such a badass moment stepping out on
Yeah.
this like the clothes burn off him. And he starts like slicing through the race cars. It's great. It's a wonderful piece of work there. And actually, I think that battle's better than the one at the end with them.
It's 100% better. Again, the biggest problem with the end of the movie is that the stuff with Vanko feels
Flat. It just
flat.
drops.
Yeah.
But the scene afterwards, Tony goes and visits Vanko in prison. And that works wonders because Tony's finally, first of all, he spent the first part of the movie saying, oh, nobody's even close. They're at least 5 to 10 years away. This Tarek Hammer, 20 years away. Like, no one's got my tech. I am the greatest of all time. He is arrogant, believing in himself so much. I am the GOAT. You can't touch me.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, this guy can. And you can see Tony gets vulnerable really quickly. Like, he walks in, has this conversation, and it becomes about a classist fight.
Yeah.
A classism fight really bad. You get Tony Stark, the pampered rich boy who's been served it all, versus the guy who we don't really know his backstory. They kind of leave it vaguely open. Like you have like Fury's side of things, and you have Tony or Ivanko's side of things. We don't know. There's like maybe he's a spy, maybe
his father clearly was selling secrets and stuff, and
right.
It was bad for him growing up. And that's the crux of everything, is that he's been living in Tony's shadow in the same way that Tony was living in his father's shadow.
Right. We don't know necessarily that, like, was Howard a bad guy who stole the plans from him and not gave him credit? We don't really know the answer. They kind of leave it vaguely open.
Yeah.
Enough to be kind of questionable. And I think it's a good thing because, like, eat the rich, right? You got to eat the rich.
Yeah,
and
right.
That kind of happen. That's part of reality when it comes to it. But does make those personal stakes work. He like laughs when he tells him all this stuff. You guys have been brutally killing people all the time, but you get money out of it. You're good. I get to live in a cave in Russia. Somebody's got to teach you a lesson or whatever. Ed has that great line about "I made you bleed."
Mm-hmm.
I made you.
You made a god bleed.
I made a god bleed. They are not going to believe in you as much as they used to. And it's like, oh, okay, and that worked for me. That bit worked for me. Unfortunately, after that, it just all went downhill. And because we never get Tony and Vanko together again until the final battle, when it's basically just a repeat of Stain in an Iron Man outfit. Basically, it's just another. Okay, so we're gonna have another guy in a other Iron Man suit. This is the second film in, guys. This is only number 2, and you're like repeating yourself that badly.
And at least
Star Wars waited for Return of the Jedi before they brought the Death Star back.
Yeah, right. It's so interesting too, because like honestly, you could do a lot of what this movie is doing and it just being Hammer. Like you could have just as easily had taken Vanko out of the equation in some capacity. And what if it had been Hammer's father who had been, and then he like worked his way back up? You know what I'm saying? Like you could have basically cut him out.
Yeah, because they split like you said at the beginning. In a way, it's kind of interesting that they split Tony in two.
Yeah.
But you didn't need to. You could have just had the opposite. I mean, I guess the argument against that would be why it kind of brings up what I just said about repeating one. Because then isn't that kind of Stain all over to a degree, as like a Stain is also kind of another type of Tony Stark. Hammer's the guy who gets in the suit kind of thing. It's like
I don't know. I mean, if you still build it up though, that like it's actually like a rivalry thing, right? But then again, Iron Man 3 is going to do it too.
Yeah, never wrong.
You know what I'm saying? So like, it's a lot of these people that the Starks have stepped on, because ultimately the Starks are also the biggest villains of the MCU.
Yeah, 100%.
And so like you could have just had it where Hammer was the one, like his father was the one who was deported. And he has the ship on his shoulder, so he kind of wants to bring Tony down in some capacity. You could have done it that way.
Yeah. I wouldn't have lost that much, honestly, because I will admit, every other scene to me besides the prison scene with Vanko in it just feels like it slows down the movie.
Yeah.
It's a slog. And it's like, okay, let's move on to the next part. And that's even with the scenes with Rockwell, who I absolutely love. I think Sam Rockwell makes one of the best shit weasels in the history of movies. He's so good. I love that he calls him Anthony.
Yeah, every single time, Anthony.
I don't know if that was a script thing. I don't know if that was a script thing or if that was a Sam Rockwell thing. I almost feel like that was a Sam Rockwell thing, just like knowing the characters that well.
Yeah,
it was so perfect.
Well, and then again, that would just play into the point, right? He disdains him so much, he's calling him Anthony. Like he won't even call him by his real name.
Right. I know totally. He's not going to call him. I'm not going to be familiar with you. I'm going to be the proper guy. I'm trying to be better than I am.
It's interesting because if you read into what Sam Rockwell has said, is originally it was only supposed to be one villain. And then they did decide to split it into two. So Hammer was not originally in the movie. And it's almost like I would have rather that Hammer was the only villain, and, like,
Yeah.
you get rid of the Whiplash character, because also Whiplash is not even, like, the full character. They also try to mix him with Crimson Dynamo, which
Yeah.
is such a weird choice, because now you're taking 2 separate Iron Man villains and trying to make them one.
Yeah, it didn't work. That doesn't work for me. I mean,
No,
the physicality of it sometimes, or Whiplash stuff works action-wise, but
yeah.
otherwise it's not. It just becomes kinda like a cluttered mess in my head. It's like, okay, again, that's part of the chaos for me in a way.
Yeah, but and for me, it's just him.
Yeah.
That's the funniest part, because otherwise, I think the movie actually very linearly tells its story very well. I think it makes sense across the board for the most part. Like, again, I think it's truncated because they were afraid of letting the movie be longer, but
Right,
I don't
right.
necessarily think that the movie is, like, worse off for it.
Yeah,
It's
it feels
just that
yeah.
the Vanko stuff is just not great.
I think maybe that's why they truncated other things, but I think they truncated the wrong things. Like, that's the issue. Because I feel like there's great there's a greatness in finding the moments to let a film breathe.
Yeah.
And this film does not breathe very much at all. That's part of the problem. And it tries to breathe. It breathes with Vanko scenes, and they're not the scenes to let breathe in a way. Those are the ones that you need to get past.
The best scene in which everything does stop to breathe is also an exposition scene, and it's when Fury shows up for the first time. "Sir, I'm gonna have to ask you to,
Down for
get
the
out of that
donut.
donut."
Yeah.
Yeah, or step out of that donut.
Yeah, I didn't love that scene because it was such a big exposition dump. I'm glad Nick Fury makes it. Sam Jackson's Nick Fury makes it work a little bit because he's
Right.
got that charisma with RDJ. But at the same time, it does kind of like
Fired.
yeah, exactly. That's which eye do I look at, the eye or the patch? I don't know what.
See, I love all that.
I do
It all
love that
works for me.
because of them, and that's why. But
Right.
the actual like, if you look at that scene as a whole, it feels like it's like a grinding. It grinds a movie to a halt a little bit to a degree.
It's so
Um,
interesting because I actually find myself, because I like the interactions, and I think maybe this is sometimes where you and I differ on stuff, I realize.
mhm,
But I think that for me, I get so lost in the character interactions in a way that I don't think about the pacing as much.
mm,
And maybe that's because I grew up watching so much stuff that we've talked about, whether it was the Kevin Smith stuff or stuff like Empire Records or a lot of the Linklater stuff, where some of it is like very deliberately paced, but
mhm.
you're just sitting in interactions with people. So
Right.
I don't think about it as grinding the movie to a halt. I just kind of
Interesting.
get lost in the interactions.
It's funny. I guess maybe for me, it's just a kind of a selective thing because I like Kevin Smith. I'm all there with you.
Right.
That's the movie to me. I'm in now on that. But for some reason, in these films, it makes it. I think it's because that like those films like you mentioned before, those that is the film. That's the focus of the film.
Right. Sure.
And here it's a different story. And that's for me, that's why it doesn't work as well in these types of movies. You can't throw a Kevin Smith scene into a middle of this kind of film. I mean, you can,
You're
it
not
works for
wrong.
you, but it doesn't work as well for
No,
me.
no, no. And you may not be wrong. It's just for me, I guess I don't necessarily separate the two.
That's
So
fine.
if it happens every once in a while, don't get me wrong, like, you've heard me talk about it. It's my biggest problem with The Dark Knight. I
Mhm,
think
yeah.
the 3rd act totally falls apart because I think the exposition dump with the stuff on the boats, like, I know what it's going for, but it's really heavy-handed and it slows that movie to a fucking crawl fast.
And it's funny because that does work for me enough. It is heavy-handed. I'll give you heavy-handed. It doesn't slow it down as much for me for whatever reason. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm into the tension at that point, and that's
Right.
why it works for me. And you're not, and that's okay. That's it just
Yeah.
happens to be what happens in movies sometimes.
Yeah, and so this is one of those times where between this and then all the stuff with Coulson and him, back at the mansion all works for me.
You know, it's funny. The Coulson stuff absolutely works for me. I don't
Yeah.
know why. That stuff works for me. That hits the right way. I think it's because it's a little quicker pace. It's a little less expositionally. It's more just banter between. It's more witty
Yeah.
banter, and it's still doing stuff. He's like working on stuff. I don't like the I'm sitting at a diner talking to you. At least when him and Tony start doing stuff, he's working on stuff, so it feels like we're working
You've
towards something.
never been hungover in LA having to take a work meeting before and it shows.
I absolutely have not been in LA doing it, but I have taken a work meeting very hungover and did exactly that. This doesn't work for a movie for me. That's all.
Because all I could think is, boy, I've been there.
Oh, I had absolutely been there. That's why I don't want to watch it because I've been there. I'm
You're
kidding. But no, the Colson
fired.
stuff though, the Colson stuff, beautiful. I love it because that is also because I just love Colson so much. I think that's why it works for me even more.
Yeah.
Like Sam Jackson's Nick Fury is great, but I've seen a different Nick Fury, because Nick Fury was not the way Sam Jackson portrayed him in the comics at all. It's
Not
definitely
until
a
the
different,
Ultimates.
right? Not to the Ultimates. It's a very different version of that, and it's okay. I've accepted that, and again, that's the time where I'm like, okay, MCU is different than Marvel Comics. This is this version of Nick Fury. I'm cool with, but it does. I'm not as in love with that as well
Yeah.
as with Coulson. He's like his own thing. He's created for MCU, I believe. I don't think
Yes, he was.
gone.
He's
Okay.
now become a comic character since, but like
Right.
that was not the
Right.
intention.
So this is Phil Coulson, and I love what we get out of Phil Coulson. His deadpan delivery, his just like one of my favorite lines. It's like somehow like if you leave, I'll tase you and watch Super Nanny and watch you drool on the floor.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
no,
the best. I'm going to New Mexico. Oh, interesting. Land of enchantment. So I've heard.
So I've heard. And another one of my favorite lines at the end, he's like, "We need you more than you know, not that much."
Yeah, yeah. Also, the beginning of his love for Captain America
Yes.
is in this because they have the shield again.
Right, and you don't know that until later on. So it
Yeah.
makes this a retroactively a great
Why do you
moment.
have this?
Why do you have this? Like,
And I love that for Tony, it's just a thing to help balance.
and
And
you look at the face, and Coulson's
yeah,
like, he's almost like, how
he's
dare
offended.
you? He is absolutely
That
offended.
is the look on my face yesterday when we got the message where so we have a friend in our fantasy chat and he was at the movies. He goes to the loft for those Mondo Monday things that I like to go to from time to time if I can. And apparently, Jeff, the guy who's like runs programming and introduces the movies at the loft, brought up The Rocketeer, and some girl sitting near him was like, "Oh, I've never seen that." And the guy with her was like, "You're not missing much." And I like, he sent us the message about it. I was like, "I'm gonna fucking cut someone." Like that was the look on my face. Like that was pure rage.
I could feel your rage. I read that. I didn't even need to see your response. I was like, oh, PJ gonna cut a bitch.
Yeah. And what did I say? I'm gonna cut someone. Damn it. So, like you're not wrong. That was immediately my thought. I was like, I gotta cut someone. Like this one. Who the fuck is gonna insult the Rocketeer? You're not missing much. Are you kidding me? Timothy Dalton gives one of the best villain performances of all time in that movie. It has maybe the best line read to any Nazi ever of I may be a 2-bit criminal, but I'm 100% American, and I don't work for some 2-bit Nazi. Are you kidding me?
So good.
Oh, come on, man.
So good.
God, that movie is great. Billy Campbell is awesome in it. Honestly, I just pretend that it's in the MCU sometimes. Makes me feel better.
It works. It works. I love it.
I mean, look, Joe Johnston.
Are we getting more? Isn't there a series coming? Is that still
there was
coming?
supposed to be a movie. There was supposed to be with David Awolio, and
haven't heard anything.
We had that little they did the kids television show.
Oh, yeah,
and that was fine. Like, ever since Disney Plus started to implode on itself, a lot of the stuff that they announced kind of fell by the wayside.
Yeah,
because there was the Sandlot sequel. Remember?
I do remember. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, that fell apart. There's all sorts of things that they kind of announced that just never happened, and I have to assume that the other part of it is that in the same way that Disney kind of bought Star Wars after they had made John Carter, and so John Carter hadn't come out yet, and they were like, fuck it, we don't really need the movie, so they didn't really promote it, and they just kind of let it out to die.
Yeah,
I kind of feel like that's what they're doing with The Rocketeer, where they're like, we don't really need it anymore, we have the Marvel stuff, but it sucks, man, because you could do a lot with The Rocketeer.
Oh, absolutely. In these time and ages is perfect time for a Rocketeer movie. Absolutely.
I 100% still believe that doing a 60s set sequel now with Billy Campbell and Jennifer Connelly, where it's a set in Cold War Russia, would be fucking amazing. Make it a spy thriller with the Rocketeer.
So you're saying you basically want Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull with Rocketeer?
Yes, correct. But I also want it to be more a thriller version where it's you lean in on his age, because in Crystal Skull they lean on Indy's age, but I don't I want to see it where it's the Rocketeer has seen shit, right, and he's gone through stuff, and now he's a lot older and he can't do as much, but the government comes to him and they're like, hey man, look, we need you, Peavy's dead, this is the whole thing, because of course Alan Arkin has passed away, Like that's my pitch, is that basically the Russians get Peavy, he's died,
Right.
and so he goes over to Russia to like deal with these guys who are building the suit, and they're gonna try to use it. It's a little bit of what Iron Man 2 is dealing with, funny enough.
Yeah.
But like this idea that they send him over, Howard Hughes comes to him and he's like, "Look, man, this is the situation. We need your help." Like he was a World War II hero, like it's this whole thing, and they're like, "We need you. We need you to do this." And so he kind of like forces himself out of a retirement and does this thing. And I think you could make a fucking killer movie doing that.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I'm all in. You know, I like it feels like, again, it's like I agree. It's a juxtaposition of the Indiana Jones thing, because I do like it's the Nazis thing versus
Yeah.
the 50s. The 50s, it could always be a more 50s sci-fi communist thing. That could work very well. But with a more thriller aspect, I totally agree that could work very
Right.
well. But
And to do it a little differently,
cheap,
not where
you
like
do it on the cheap.
America's like, "Hey man, look, Indy, you might be a villain." I want it to be like, "No, we know you're not.
Right.
We're coming to you because we can't deal with this. Like,
Right.
we need you."
Right. And I think that'd be the way to do it. But
God, someone get me on the line with Disney. Like, let me pitch my movie. I got this. Universal, call me. I got a Mummy sequel for you and a Tremors sequel for you and a Psycho sequel for you if you really want to have the time. Like, I got you.
I almost feel like there's a podcast there for you, like the PJ's movie pitches.
Oh, actually, that'd be pretty good. Not bad.
Not bad. You're much better at than I am. I mean, I have little ideas. You have the big ideas.
Well, but here's the thing. I have the ideas. I just need the other people to run with them once I've done the thing. Like I can't write very well anymore. Every time I try, I find myself getting caught like really quick, and I'm just like, I don't know if I can do this. And I get real in my head, and then like the stuff I write doesn't really come across, and I get really frustrated. So like if I could just pitch these ideas and then be like, find a writer who understands my sensibilities for a Mummy sequel in which also Cold War set, because I wanted to do one where it's like we jump forward in time.
Right.
And the funny thing is it's very clear that I love all these pulp heroes. So all of these movies that I want to do have to jump forward in time for the real time like aspects. And to me, that's all Cold War set. But I want to do one. It would be like Cold War set adjacent, but also like you're still dealing with the Nazis and like the occult, and this idea that the Nazis are trying to get power over Russia during the Cold War. Matt Smith plays like the lone Nazi like guy, and they're trying to bring back the Scorpion King. And I love the idea of the Scorpion King being like an actual villain this time, not like a CGI monstrosity. And then you tie in Harrison Ford as Brendan Fraser's father.
You've already sold me. You know that. Sold me.
I'm just saying. Have the time of your life keeping up with the O'Connells.
Oh God, love it.
I'm just saying.
I know.
I like that this is now just becoming, how do we make movies in Hollywood while we're talking about Iron Man 2?
Right. Speaking of Iron Man, I don't know. We kind of went off on a really weird. How did we get out of that tangent? I have no idea how we got there.
Oh, it's because you asked me about The Rocketeer and if they were doing the second one or not.
Oh, that's right.
It just spiraled from there because, you know, I just tend to do the thing where I'm like, well, shit, let me tell you the ways, as it were, of where my mind is going. I mean, we could sit here and pitch my Bates Motel idea where, you know, you do a sequel where about his kids that we hear crying at the end of the fourth movie. I'm just saying.
This is another podcast, PJ. Where you just save it. Don't shoot your load. Save it for another different podcast where you do the whole thing.
Well, shit. Now I'm sad.
Let's get back to happy.
John
Favreau. Exactly, John Favreau. I love a lot of the supporting cast in this film, and John Favreau is one of them. He's really become kind of like, in a way, if Iron Man and Tony Stark, RDJ is like the basis of it, I think Happy Hogan might be the heart of it in a way.
I got bad news for you.
What is that?
It is official. MGM and Amazon have announced that Amy Pascal and David Hyman will produce the upcoming James Bond movies. They have put out a statement and everything.
Yeah. Mhm. David Heyman's good.
Yes, well, yeah, he's great. Guess who's not?
I I don't think she can ruin it. I mean, she could. I don't think she. I think David Heyman can. I think the good of David Heyman would be more important than the not so good of Amy Pascal, because Amy Pascal hasn't done bad things. I mean, she's done some stuff that's not bad. So I
No,
think
no,
he's
no, I
going to
know
be good.
that.
So I don't know.
Also, apparently, weirdly, they're recasting Dewey in the Malcolm in the Middle revival.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I'm just seeing all this as we're doing our things, and I'm like, well, that seems weird.
Yeah. Well, he's not acting anymore. Maybe.
Is that it?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. That could be. The guy just doesn't act anymore. It
Huh.
says on his wiki page, it does say years active 1998 to 2010.
Oh, maybe he did retire.
Maybe he did. His
That
last
makes me
credit
sad.
was he was 2010 film 12 when he was 18 years old. He has since kept a low profile and was absent from several Malcolm in the Middle cast reunions.
Oh, so maybe he just, yeah. Okay. Well,
Well,
there we go.
there you go. Yeah.
Huh. Anyway, not to continue. So, talking about Happy Hogan and the support characters,
Yes, the beating. I think Happy Hogan is the one of the beating hearts of the MCU. He
I
just
agree.
because he's like the everyman that we always talk about. He's that audience perspective guy. He's the guy that's with all the heroes, but gets to go, holy shit, this is cool. Like all of us in a way. But he tries to keep up with them too. One of
Him
my
and
favorite
Coulson.
sequences. Him and Colson, exactly. But even Happy, even more than Colson, because Happy feels more relatable in a way. Like he's
That's
a
because it's
guy who's
John
gonna get.
Favreau.
I think that's part of it. Phil Coulson plays the straight man of it. Happy Hogan's like the I want to get a cheeseburger with this guy kind of thing. I want a cheeseburger, I want a beer with this guy. And he has that scene in the end. One of my favorite scenes in the film is him and Nat. First of all, watching Scarlett Johansson getting dressed in the back as he starts veering off the road. Pure male moment right there. But then he goes in the thing and she's like, stay here. Stay in the
Yeah.
car. Like, I'm not staying here. I'm not staying here. They had this great fight sequence. He like takes 15 minutes to beat up the one guy while she's like kicking like 30 guys ass. And he goes, you fight the rules. I got him. And he looks down the hall like there's like a plethora of like just
Yeah.
unconscious bodies. Like, ah.
I genuinely loved, by the way, um, I genuinely loved the stuff with Scarlett Johansson in this movie.
Yes.
I know that a lot of people, again, this is you have to separate from the comics
Right.
because she's not doing a Russian accent or any of that. But I like this version of Natasha. I like her introduction. I like the way it works. It feels very in line with what I'd expect from the comics, where
Yeah.
Shield puts her there to like watch him. I love
Yes.
all of that. I think it's so good.
Yeah, I agree too. I mean, obviously, Black Widow in the comics came about. She was a spy from Russia, and then she flipped, and like she had this whole sequence with the Avengers where she, like, they were not sure if she was like really there, or like if she's a really hero or not. They didn't trust her for a while. Her and Hawkeye had a great thing together, and they kind of get there eventually in this version. The MCU version, a very different take on the character. It has some similarities, but overall, it's a different entry point. And I like this entry point as well. Just having her be with Shield from the get go, it works for the MCU at this point. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, again, I genuinely really love what they're doing with it. In it, it's one of those. It feels natural.
Yeah,
It
I think
feels like a very good way to build that character out, and it also makes Shield feel like a presence again. And
yeah,
again, love the way they do that throughout the movie also of, like, the Nick Fury character talking to Tony about his father's past in building S.H.I.E.L.D., in
right.
all these things that S.H.I.E.L.D. has been doing over time, which is why also dude, John Slattery is so good, and I like the version of him in this that is like a Walt Disney-esque, like,
Yeah,
uncle, father figure to people, like,
that's a great way to put it.
right, and the videos even feel like they're very, when Walt would do the stuff on ABC, like, that's how the videos of him talking about Stark Expo feel, even down to the music and all the little things. I wanna say that they even got the people who do the Disney music to do the
Uh,
Stark Expo theme.
it makes sense. Yeah, it does sound exactly. Either that or they just aped it very well.
Yeah, I'll have to look because 'cause I'm pretty sure that was a thing that they did do.
Okay.
Um, but, like, they really lean in on it, and I think that it actually really helps and builds my understanding of Howard and like his bigger influence on the MCU, because you realize like we see the character a few more times after this in obvious capacity, but this is the one where it's like you actually see his influence over the world, not just the people around him, but like you're seeing that he was reaching and trying so hard to do things for them. Oh yeah,
Yes.
I was right. Richard Sherman did contribute to the Stark Expo thing.
The late Richard Sherman died about a year
Yeah.
ago today from when we're recording this on May
Are
25th.
you serious? Oof,
Yeah. It's kinda creepy.
weird.
Yeah, no, it was. I was looking it up myself too. I was like, oh, yeah, it is. They actually absolutely did that. I didn't know that. It's a great fun fact. But I thought they just had somebody ape it, and like, but because it sounds
Yeah.
just like it, but it makes sense. Like, why if
Yeah.
you can get the original guy, get the original guy.
Yeah. I mean, and because Sherman was working pretty much all the way until he
Yeah,
passed away. Like, incredible songwriter.
yeah.
And that was the other thing, is the Stark Expo stuff is great because that's very New York World's Fair. Obviously something Walt Disney was actually very involved in
Mhm.
when
Absolutely.
that existed and was a thing. So all those elements work. I love that Tony decides to bring it back, and because he's trying to actually make the change that he's been talking about. He wants to better the world.
It just makes me think of one of my favorite movies of the 2010s that
Tomorrowland.
everybody hates for some reason. A lot of people hate it. I absolutely love it. I love Tomorrowland so much. I'm all in on that movie.
That's one where you and I would battle on a little bit because I like
Oh,
I like the movie, but it's one of those in the same way that you feel about like touching on the Tomorrowland or the storyline in this of Demon in the Bottle.
mhm.
It's a movie called Tomorrowland, and Tomorrowland is like not in the movie, and it drives me nuts.
That absolutely tracks. I'm not a parks guy, so I don't even know. Like, wouldn't even miss it for me. So because I don't miss it, it becomes like this beautiful, like this.
You know what's funny? You know what TV show is what I imagined Tomorrowland would be more like is Eureka, the old
Oh,
Sci-Fi
okay.
Channel show.
Yeah, oh, yeah, okay, okay.
Um, I could have seen a movie version like that. I hope amongst hope that they don't not do more stuff with Tomorrowland though, because
Mhm.
I actually love a lot of what that movie is doing. I just wish that Tomorrowland felt like it mattered
Yeah, I get that.
because you spend the entire movie basically in our world, and that's weird.
The saddest thing for me is that, like, that's the last live action Brad Bird we've gotten, and Brad Bird suffered so much that he had to go back to do The Incredibles. Not that he didn't wanna do The Incredibles, I think he probably wanted to do the sequel to The
Yeah.
Incredibles, but it feels like he had to. Like, I
Well, it
feel
was
like
the
that was
same
all he
thing
was
that
doing.
happened to Andrew Stanton after John
Yeah.
Carter.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Brad Bird's one of my favorite directors. I love it. I
yeah,
loved everything he's done. I know we differ a little bit on Ghost Protocol, but I love his Mission Impossible movie.
yeah.
I love Tomorrowland, and of course his animated stuff is top notch. Iron Giant and The
I
Incredibles.
and remember, it's not that I don't like Ghost Protocol, mind you. It's just another one where it's like, I like it. I just think that there's better movies in that
Yeah,
franchise.
and I get it. I get it. I
Yeah.
go back and forth on that one myself. I really do. I
I will say this, it has an all-time Tom Cruise stunt, though.
yes, exactly.
The building climb is fucking remarkable, and the
Oh,
first time
so
I
good.
saw that in IMAX, it gave me the worst vertigo of all time.
I always,
Oh, God.
I'll always agree with you on, and I agree with everybody. The biggest weakness it has is its villain.
Yeah, the
Nyquist
villain.
is just not a great villain for this movie, and that's not necessarily a strike on Nyquist. He's been good in other things. I just
No.
don't appreciate his villain as much. As he's very
Well, they
mustache
don't do
twirling,
much with him.
surface. He's very surface level kind of villain. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. But
He's barely
overall,
in it.
yeah, exactly. It's like, how can you establish you being this big bad? He's barely in it. Um,
Kinda
oh,
like kinda like, Anton Vanko in
yeah,
this movie.
you're not wrong. You're not
I
wrong. It's actually a good comp. That's a good comp.
No, exactly, and so what's funny is that when you get to the 3rd act of this movie, right, it actually it's mostly working. It's
Mm,
mostly working to your point. The stuff with Natasha and Happy is great.
fun.
The
Yeah,
stuff with Tony when he shows up
fun.
and the bots are all taken over and he like, including Rhodey, and so he's trying to save Rhodey.
And
All
Rhodey's
that
trying to
stuff
save
is
him.
great.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
It's not until we get to the shit with Anton that, like, suddenly the movie just falls apart.
And then ends really quickly. It's just
Yeah.
like that's probably just I was like, boom, like I didn't get a chance to I'm like, whoa, this is done now. I want to throw out there. You mentioned the others. I love when Hammer is presenting the drones like this, like he's trying to be this like sexy presenter, and he's so
Yeah.
awkward at doing it. The same thing when he did the funnier bit even earlier when he's presenting the weapons to Rhodes and the other military guy.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
trying to do this like sales pitch. He's trying to, and it's so
And he's the
awkward.
world's worst salesman.
It's so awful.
I call this one the ex-wife.
The ex-wife. It's gonna write out. It'll make it look like Ulysses written in crayon. It's like what?
He's so smart. He's just a shit weasel, and that's our new favorite term because we've used it a lot on here. But like, he's such a shit weasel in this, and I fucking love it. Like, he's so good.
Yeah,
He's so good at being terrible. And so him at the presentation, you're right. It's so awkward, and you're like, Jesus Christ, get this man off the stage. Like, it's so bad. And yet I can't look away.
Yeah, because he's so good at his job. He's so good at his job.
And I'll say this: the fucking chase sequence through the Stark Expo with the bots is awesome.
Yeah,
it's also one of the few times that we actually see Tony like using his technology and using his brain at the same time, being like looking at the world sphere, and he's like, how do I use this to my advantage? How do I bounce off here, and like goes out, and those things run straight into it, you know? All those little moments, all those little things, like all that stuff feels really fun and earned, and it's like a real Iron Man moment. Especially because now he's alive again. We totally skipped over. He does create the we've talked about it a little bit, but he creates that new element that protects him because, you know, obviously the one that was corroding inside of him, that was poisoning him, the new element is the one that is sustainable.
Right.
And he's able to function, and he's able to get better. Coconut makes me laugh every single time. Like, he tastes coconut when he puts in the new arc reactor. Fucking kills me. It makes me laugh. It's so dumb.
Random. It's so random.
I know. Well, because you know it's just Downey Jr. saying shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you just know. He's like, and he just throws out the, tastes like coconut, and you're like, what in the world?
What are you talking about? Okay.
Yeah, but I don't care because it's really funny. Yeah. So like all that stuff works. And what I really like is that it also leads to the fight where he and Rhodey get to fight together.
Yes.
And this is the thing that I really like, is that you really get the camaraderie of them both being heroes together.
Yeah. The callback, the sidekick moment, the big final blow to Vanko, where he goes like, sidekick is calling back to him not wanting to be a sidekick or whatever, for like the joking, the camaraderie, even though it came from a dark place earlier in the movie, they can use it as like a fun moment there. Let's do it together. And they obviously kick ass, and it's wonderful together. I think the best part comes after that, though, when Don Cheadle's on the roof. While Tony and Pepper are making up, he's like, get a roof. He's like, yeah. And by the way, the expo destroyed my car. I'm taking your suit for now. And he's like, no, you're not. He's like, I wasn't asking.
It's so good.
Like,
it's so good.
Nice.
I look, man, it's just such a bummer that the stuff with Anton doesn't work, because when he shows up, like the fight scene with him and Rhodey together is great.
Yep.
And then Anton shows up, and it's 3 minutes, if that. It's so uninteresting, although the ex-wife bit makes me laugh. That not working when he uses
sound effect they used.
Yeah. Yeah. Hammer tech. Yep. That's great. But like, I couldn't care less about all the shit with Vanko.
No, the funny thing is, it's weird, and maybe this is me, but I would almost have preferred a Tony versus Mickey Rourke fight without the suits at that point. Like, it almost feels like that would have made it a little more personal between the two of them in a way. Like, it adds that like level of, and how do you do that in an Iron Man movie? I get that, but like, it feels like with the suits on, it's such a big suit. It just feels so impersonal at that point. After the good scene in the jail earlier, the prison earlier, it just feels like very like, this is your final boss. Okay, this is the final boss now, and then it's over in 2 minutes anyway.
Yeah.
So like, why? What? Okay.
No, it's one of those things that unfortunately it really just doesn't land.
No, it doesn't.
And I do want to bring up though, I do love that the kid that Tony saves is Peter Parker at the Stark Expo. Yeah, like it was never the idea that he was supposed to be, but I loved the idea that he's such a Tony Stark fan, and it was actually Tony who saved him. Right. I love that. I think that's great.
John Watts' idea, I believe.
Yeah, it was John Watts' idea, and they've run with it since, which I just think that's so great.
Yeah, there's sometimes where retconning, they use that word retconning, and it's usually negative that they do it. But
Yeah.
like this is a positive retcon, a way to add a little bit of connectivity to things that
Yeah.
works very well. It's like the good version of the thing that I hated in Spider-Man 3 when they made Thomas Hayden Church the Sandman be the guy who actually killed Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
That's a
hated that.
bad retcon for me.
Yeah.
This was like taking a pretty much a almost completely unimportant scene with this kid. I mean, overall, it's a hero saving a kid. Okay, it's important, but it's overall the grand scheme of things, it's a normal thing. And then you let that be a moment that influences like a building of an actual character later on. That works, and that's definitely a good retcon.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That stuff all works. The end of the movie is very abrupt, to your point, because this stuff with Anton happens, and then suddenly we're at the scene with Fury.
Right.
There's no other build.
Right. Boom, done.
And then the movie just ends.
Yeah, it's just
like it's very, very bizarre in how that's ultimately handled.
Yeah.
Love that it ends though with him being like, "Look, I'll waive my consulting fee if you can do one thing for me." We're supposed to be presented these awards, and they get Gary Shandling's character to come back as Senator Stern. I love that. I think that's so funny.
And he gets Tony. He actually pins Tony with it. He hates him. He's like,
yeah.
You think how a little prick can be, and how annoying a little prick can be.
Let's get a picture, and he has the most smug, like shit-eating grin on his face.
Oh God! Oh, great Gary Shandling.
I love that he is in this, by the way, and I love that we see him one more time too.
Yes, we do. We absolutely do. It's good.
I love that whole thing. I mean, obviously, it's a down the line thing. This idea he was actually a Hydra agent the entire time on top of it is like so good.
Again, another retcon that may, and if not a retcon, whatever. I don't know if it was ever planned that way or if they made it retroactive. Either way, it works.
Yeah, but again, and that becomes one of those. It's not even necessarily. Yeah, you're right. Because retcon, I think I've brought it up on here before. I think retcon generally has like a negative connotation to it, but like to me, it's more just like a lore reveal. And it's like sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. The Spider-Man 3 one is notoriously terrible. But like the ones like that where you take a character and you spin it another way, it's actually not bad if it's done correctly. And this is one of those times.
Yeah, no, exactly. And if you can do that, then do it. Then do it. It makes your overall universe better. And it's what made the MCU great for so long, was doing that kind of connectivity like that. I mean, if the MCU has, I mean, there's people out there say the MCU has lost its way, it's plotting now, and I could see some of what they're meaning. Like it's definitely lost its focus a little bit. It comes down to like back nowadays we have like the post-credit sequences, like the one in this film where we get to see Coulson in Nevada finding Thor's hammer.
New Mexico, not
New
Nevada.
Mexico. Sorry, New Mexico. Sorry. And he finds Thor's hammer. Everything was like leading directly into the next thing. Well, nowadays they have the MCU doing like these like post-credit scenes. It's like they're going to drop these things, and then like years later we still haven't gotten any payoff from it. It's like the focus is a little lost.
To be fair though, like that's not new. Like, yeah, and these ones they were directly leading to it. And also we should mention one of the things I really like also, so we get a lot of the Thor references, we get the Captain America thing, but we also see the footage from the Incredible Hulk in the movie because it's on a lot of the screens. Like Thor, Incredible Hulk, and Iron Man 2 all take place kind of within the same week.
Right, which is so amusing to think about. Like,
yeah, and I think the bookend scenes of Captain America also do. I've never heard that like fully, but it would make sense with everything else going on.
Yeah, it would definitely make sense for sure.
But what's interesting is like the Avengers drops a post-credit scene that legitimately is never paid off until Infinity War.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
But
I guess that has that to me, I look at it like, because that was the drop. We're dropping Thanos because our long-term plan is to get Thanos.
Oh, sure.
Like dropping Harry Styles as Star Fox after Eternals, and like dropping Jon Snow is getting the Ebony Blade for Black Knight, and now we're like, are these even going to happen at this point?
Yeah, well, that's the bigger issue. Is more just yeah, but I also blame them.
I don't, but it does make it unfocused, is what I'm saying comparatively.
I also just think that we have to remind ourselves that, like, most of these movies didn't face a lot of what the newer ones have been facing, which was a company falling apart on itself, the CEO turnover, all these strikes that have happened around it at the same time. Like, I'm not trying to make excuses. It's just the truth of the matter is that late stage MCU post Endgame, as unfocused as it may seem at times, it's also more focused, I think, than people give it credit for. But we're also looking through everything through rose tinted glasses of how we got here. And what they've faced since has been a lot more hostile in a lot of ways. They've been forced to make TV shows that were like meant to make release dates instead of being ready. Like,
Right.
all these strikes and things that have slowed things down or pushed things back. And that sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks really bad, in fact. And it's frustrating because you're not wrong in a lot of ways. I mean, we're at the point now they're finally paying off the stuff that they've been setting up with Young Avengers, but it's no longer Young Avengers.
Right.
Because they're not young enough anymore. So it's called the Conquerors, and like that's happening now.
Yeah.
Or the Challengers. I mean, I'm sorry, not the Conquerors, the Challengers.
Yeah.
But
There's something wrong with that, but I didn't know what it was.
yeah. So, but they're doing it now as a Disney Plus series instead of a movie. But again, it's one of those like that was hinted at forever ago, and then like really, the post credit scene or the end of the Marvels is that basically of her going around recruiting the younger characters like she's Nick Fury.
Right.
So we are getting certain payoffs. The biggest problem is like something like Eternals that came out during COVID also only did fine. Now,
Yeah.
granted, COVID, but also then you see the stuff with Blade, and it's like, well, Blade's kind of hit that roadblock. But again, writers' strikes, all these changes with the company. So it just kind of sucks. And it's really frustrating because I do think it's mostly focused. Although now at this point, they're also just trying to get through like the multiverse stuff. I think that they overestimated people's love for the multiverse. It's fine in smaller doses. Making it the entire like last two phases was probably not the right move.
Right. Yeah, you're not wrong. I think in retrospect, I think we all see. I think we were all just as excited as they were, and like, oh, this is awesome. Oh, look at all the shit we can do. Yeah, all the Spider-Man, we can bring everybody back we've ever loved. This nostalgia bait is killing us. We got it. But like at this point, it's like, yeah, but that's that when that becomes the focus of your story, then it's like you have a problem because you need to have an actually story to go with it.
And we're 100%. Now, granted, I'll say this. Box office wise, it tells us otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Because the three biggest movies that they've had since the end of Endgame have been multiversal movies, basically.
Yeah.
So, like, there is something to be said also that clearly with Deadpool and Multiverse of Madness and No Way Home, like, they all performed huge.
Right.
They're all multiverse movies. And even, you could even argue that Far From Home toys with it because the whole idea is that Quentin keeps saying that he's a multiversal enemy. He's not, but like, or a multiversal hero, right?
Right. Yeah.
So the four biggest movies, I'd argue, the four that made $1 billion or got close to, were all multiverse stories. Mm-hmm. So it is what it is. You're not wrong, but it's interesting in hindsight to watch these ones where it's like clearly like more directly leading into it.
Mm. Yeah.
But also being like, at the same time, I do think that most of it is still being paid off. The problem is that when you run into certain things like everything that's happened over the last 6 years, it really fucking kneecapped them in a weird way.
Yeah. I get, yeah, and I don't disagree. And I'm not saying that I can necessarily put all the blame on them.
Oh,
but
no.
whatever you want to blame, you can blame anything you need to blame. But there's no denying that it purely focus-wise, it feels like it's a little more random and like we don't know. I don't feel as confident that we're going to get payoff. All the ones at an early age, you were confident that you're getting paid off at some point, and you were. These ones kind of like, ugh. And maybe that's just my own personal thing because I saw Hercules introduced in Thor: Love and Thunder, and where has he been since? Give me Brett Goldstein in the MCU as Hercules.
Yeah.
Now, please.
Well, and yeah, you're not wrong. And it's like, we probably won't see him now until Secret Invasion. Or not Secret Invasion, Secret Wars, right? I mean,
Maybe he's like, because the funny thing is we had is possibly a Thor 5. If that happens, I don't even know. They're talking about it, but that he's been rumored in that. There was actually at one point a Disney Plus TV show I believe was in the
Yeah.
works for him at some point, but I think that's before Disney. They said we're not going to do hardly any more Disney Plus shows. I think that was because they actually trademarked
Except the
something.
challengers, apparently.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Um, so I'll just see. But that's exactly my point. We're not going to see him for a while. Probably till Secret Wars, if depending on when Thor 5 happens, if that happens.
I assume Thor 5 is a post MCU film, because I mean, if all rumors are to be believed, like the way that Secret Wars is going to end is that like anyone who wants to stay can stay, but like they're
Yeah,
also going to kind of reset the universe, basically.
right. Which makes me wonder, though. It does make me wonder. Just we're going off on a tangent in a way, but I think like Chris Hemsworth of it all. Does he want to stay, or
He
would that
wants to do one
be
more.
right? So that's what I'm saying is Thor 5 is
Yeah,
going to take place after that, or is it going to be like a Black Widow situation where like Thor 5 might release after Secret Wars, but it takes place before Secret Wars potentially? I don't know.
I
I don't
have a
know.
feeling it'll be after.
Okay.
I think that they ran into that issue with Black Widow a little bit in the wrong way, and
Mhm.
they leaned on it a little too much, because remember, they even had like Downey Jr. calling her and shit in the trailer, and you're like, well, that's not even in the movie. Like, it
Right.
kind of not the type of thing you need to do. I think that anyone who's getting a sequel, it will not be, at least for now, will not be like a retroactive sequel.
I think it's a bad move too. I think it's
Yeah,
not.
that
I
would be my
disagree with that.
guess.
But I'm just saying because of the releases of it all. If Chris is going to get one more movie, why would he go after? You know, it doesn't make sense
Yeah,
on the surface level of it all. So I don't know. Well,
until we see it, I
right.
guess.
Yeah, we'll just see what happens at that
And I
point.
mean,
Speaking of
like,
that,
we're
though,
gonna with all the rumors about Spider-Man, very similarly, is that like it sounds like, unfortunately, Spider-Man 4 is kind of a bridge film between what's happening in
yeah,
Avengers films, and it sounds like it's another bigger multiversal thing. And it was like I just wanted a Spider-Man movie after
yeah.
where it ended, and
We're
so
supposed
that's
to. That
why.
was the original pitch, I believe, was supposed to be a get more grounded. We're getting rid of
Well,
everything, and
I wouldn't be shocked if that's part of why Watts ultimately left.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Watts wants to do his own thing that way, and good for him. He's done some good work. Then I love Star Wars Skeleton's Crew. I thought that was a
Yeah.
great show with him, and he's done. I liked Wolves. I saw that. I thought it was a pretty fun
I
movie
haven't
as well.
watched that yet.
It's fun.
There was a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth after what Apple kind of did to them,
Right.
and it's
Absolutely.
not blaming him. I'm blaming
Right.
Apple for what they did to the movie
Right.
itself. But I did want to check it out because I always liked the trailers.
It's worth watching. I'm not going to say it's like a must see. Like, I mean, it's like
Oh, sure.
definitely, but like, it's definitely fun getting George Clooney and Brad Pitt together. It's well written, well done. So good enough. Backing up just a smidge, I will want to say I wanted to mention this earlier, and since we brought up the Black Widow movie, I gotta say it's unfortunate that they waited so long to give Black Widow a movie.
Yeah.
Like it felt so like when by the time it hit, it was like this should have happened a long time ago. And that the
Well,
film suffered because of it.
that
That
was the biggest problem. I mean, ultimately, I'm almost glad that it released when it did, as weird as that might sound, because I think it ultimately helped it by being a
mm,
Disney Plus release.
yeah.
Um, but you're not wrong, because the truth is that the Perlmutter of it all, as we all know,
Hmm.
and if you don't, Ike Perlmutter was a guy who was very involved at Disney, um, and Marvel, and he did not believe in making movies about minorities and women, and kept pushing that. That was why Black Panther took so long to get done. It's why Black Widow took so long to get done.
Hmm.
Once he was ousted from the company, they could do it. But you're right. It was also another one of those. It was almost a little too late,
Right.
which sucks.
Yeah.
Um,
Because she
I'm
deserved it.
ultimately
Scarlett
glad it
Johansson.
happened.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I actually I have to rewatch. I'm actually looking forward to rewatching that because I feel like my watching in the first place it definitely is undercut by. I mean, spoiler alert: if you haven't watched the MCU, I can't believe anybody watching this that hasn't seen the
Yeah,
MCU.
right.
But her death during the Infinity Saga there it kind of gets that undercuts the movie a little bit.
Yeah,
It doesn't add like there's a way it could have been done where maybe it added resonance to it, but not with the movie we got. It doesn't
yeah.
feel it just felt right. It just felt like, oh, I feel like after the big moments in the Infinity Saga, it's like now we're stepping back for this little story that took place beforehand. Like it's always tough to go back. It's always tough to go from a huge stakes movie to a lower stakes movie sometimes. But if you were moving forward, it's still at least like, oh, well, we can deal with the aftermath of that. Now,
Yeah.
what are we dealing with? We're dealing with like nothing that like it's all taken care of in a way. It just doesn't. It
It's so
undercuts it a little
interesting
bit.
too, because you're so not wrong, and yet arguably the one movie I'm most excited about this summer when it comes to Marvel stuff is the one that is also a direct continuation of it in some capacity, and
Oh,
that's Thunderbolts.
100%. I am so on board
You
with
know what
that.
I'm saying? Like, because it's very clearly a direct sequel because the leads of those Jesus Christ, the two major leads of the movie are the leads that are her co-stars,
Yeah. Mhm.
and arguably three because Taskmaster is also in it.
Yep, you're right. You're right. I
So
mean, the only real addition is a random villain from Ant-Man and the Wasp was not a loved character, not a loved movie,
so
and
stoked that that character's back though because I
me
really like
too.
Ghost.
Yes, and I think she's a good performer. That wasn't her.
Yeah.
It's just the movie didn't work for her. And of course, Bucky gets the. I think Bucky's like the guy you gotta throw in there. Is like, well, he's definitely well loved. He might
Well,
be
him and
a
Wyatt
little rough.
because
Wyatt's good.
people will say like, look, we're not going to talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier, not because we don't want to, but we've talked about it. It's just the
Yeah.
TV shows are just too much at this point for us to cover.
Right.
But one of the best parts about Falcon and Winter Soldier is Wyatt. And I love
100%.
this cast. I love Thunderbolts looks so good.
Yeah.
It looks so good. Every trailer has been excellent.
Well, it's also, the best thing about it for me is looking into it. As much as we both like Brave New World. Both come on saying we like Brave New World. Some people have not, whatever. But Brave New World had a weight on it that I think the Thunderbolts doesn't have, and it shows. The
Yeah.
Thunderbolts doesn't have the weight of carrying the MCU. It's like it's a MCU film. It's not really moving. It doesn't have the weight to move this like ultimate storyline going. It's just kind of like a fun set of characters in a action-packed, funny looking good time movie.
Yeah.
That's what this looks like. Captain America always kind of looked like we have to move this story forward. We're taking this seriously. It's a serious,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. This is a fun popcorn adventure comic movie.
Funny enough, I think it's going to do more heavy lifting than people realize.
I think so too. I do.
I do.
There with you.
It's so funny because like that's the whole. They're playing it up though, and I think that it being so meta aware of itself is helping because the whole Thunderbolts with an asterisk thing, and this idea that who's going to protect us if the Avengers can't? Like they're clearly building the Dark Avengers.
100%,
I
absolutely.
fucking love it.
Yeah, I think it's great. They're doing the Countess instead of Norman Osborn, pretty much. I think it's what they're doing, which is fine given the whole rights issues of Spain and everything else. I'm sure they have Norman Osborn in Sony land. That's all future stuff. That's all future stuff at this point. We should wrap this up now. Like, do you have anything else specifically about Iron Man 2 that you want to go? I had a couple.
No, I feel like we kind of wrapped it up and then kept talking.
Yeah, I had a couple more notes I just want to throw out there then. I'll just throw out there that didn't get to mention before. Just some little likes. I like the fact that Christine Everhart makes an appearance. It's one of those moments that connects to the first film. Not important, not necessary, but a fun moment, kind of a reward for having watched the first film.
Also, not just that. It's what I really like is it also shows Justin being the sloppy seconds to Tony once again. There's no nicer way to say that, unfortunately, but like they're definitely playing that up that like, oh, look, she's now profiling him after she already profiled Tony and he wants to sleep with her, but like she's already slept with Tony. Like,
can't quite get it done.
Yeah.
I do know that as well. Random appearance by Kate Mara for a brief second. Like, I don't know, like,
because she was not a bigger actress yet.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay. You could be. It retroactively kind of feels weird. I felt like she had made it by then, but man, I could be wrong.
No, I mean, because we have to remember this was 2010.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking just out of curiosity because I'm so like curious. She'd been acting, right?
Right.
But she was doing stuff like Shooter, where she wasn't the lead, or We Are Marshall, and like all these other smaller things.
Okay.
So this was a smaller thing for her.
Okay.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. And in retrospect, I guess I didn't make it sense, but it feels like so weird that like she's not coming back at all, is she? But it was a fun little.
Yeah, it's a fun nod at least.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. So I did like that. Love the line when again one of those great Pepper Tony moments. They're together watching Nat destroy Happy Hogan, and he's like, "You're ogling her," and he goes, "What are you googling her now? I thought I was ogling her. I'm googling her."
So good.
So good.
So good.
And also, most of my best notes were about Tony Pepper. The Tony Pepper scene afterwards, when he's like, "I'm not coming here to apologize. You're not coming here to apologize." And then like he brings in allergic. Like, what is the one thing I'm allergic to? Well, I'm making progress. I connected you
I
and
made the
Stop.
connection. Yeah.
So, RDJ is so good. I could see him like the movie itself doesn't even have to be good. Just put him in the role, and I could watch it a million times, like just easily watch it.
Yep.
Last thing one thing I had to criticize completely about Pepper is, I'm sorry, the suits, the drones get ready to explode. Pepper, you're smart enough not to stand there staring at a beeping, blinking red light and go, huh?
Yeah.
You're smarter than that.
She definitely is, but you know, they got to do the trope.
Yeah, added the trope, which is funny. Which is fine. I just had to, I wrote that down. I had to mention it for sure. And the final one I do want to throw out there is I wanted to bring this up earlier, but we kind of sometimes I love how we talk, but we talk so fast sometimes and we get away from points that I'm like, all right, and you do the same thing. But I want to bring it back because I think it was important enough. We talked about Howard Stark and the Walt Disney of it all and the film sequence. And maybe this is me being dumb. I'm completely dumb. And sometimes I miss things. But I really clued into how much this moment gets echoed in Endgame.
Yep.
With Tony and his daughter.
Yep.
Like having Howard Stark, filmed Howard Stark, basically talking directly to Tony, like he's there, like he's there on screen with him.
Dude, that scene's so good, by the way.
Moment. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good.
I mean, both versions, but the one in this one in particular, like, I don't know, man. When he finally looks at the camera and he goes, "Tony, I know that you're too young to understand all this now, but like, one day you will." And he's directly looking at the camera because Tony's clearly never seen this footage before.
Right. Yeah.
And his realization that his father is talking directly to him after he had just seen him get chased off
right
in the video. Yep. Like, dude, it hits different.
It does.
It's so good.
And his reaction, you can see like the tears like a little bit there. Not a single miss. It's there. That depth is there. Great performance, great moment. So
again, I'm so glad that, like, not that I don't like seeing people recast or anything, but John Slattery's such a great actor, and he's such a perfect version of that Howard. I think that Howard, between that and then Howard as we see him later when he's younger, they're so well done.
Agreed.
Oh, also, this is such a small thing, but the sequence where they're doing at the beginning at the Senate hearing, I love the little like subtle Rocketeer nod of them watching footage of the like versions of these things going wrong. Like it's very clearly a nod to the Rocketeer.
100%.
And it makes me so happy.
I just want to say that test pilot lived.
Yeah. Do you know who plays the test pilot in the Rocketeer version of it?
No, I don't remember.
It's actually Dave Stevens.
Is it really?
Comics. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
The test pilot in the footage that gets when it goes boom and explodes, that's Dave Stevens.
That's awesome. Good for him.
Yeah. So I've always loved that. And so the fact that they do that here is really cool because, you know, I mean, I get it all the time with my Rocketeer tattoo. People go, "Oh, that's a great Iron Man tattoo." Like people don't differentiate and shit. Yeah. So it's just fun to see that because it's like very clear that they know, oh, we're also the other flying superhero movie. We should nod to the other flying superhero movie.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate that.
All right, let's rate this son of a bitch. Let's rate things on a scale of 1 to 11 here on PLD Projects. I think I have to do some alterations on mine, maybe. We did rate Iron Man. I gave it an 8. You gave it an 8. Incredible Hulk, I gave an 8. You gave an 8.5. What do you give Iron Man 2?
That's so interesting because I'm sitting here thinking about it now.
It's kind of contextually. It's like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm having a weird moment where I'm like, because where I thought I would have put it is not necessarily what I want to do now in some capacity.
Yeah.
I'm just going to give it an 8.
Okay.
I clearly see the film's issues. I think that 1 and 2 are fairly equal overall as, like, movies. It's just kinda dependent on what you're looking for out of it. There's a reason that I go back to this one. I just like the character interactions more. I like the more personal story stuff, like, all that
Mhm,
stuff works, but the bigger problems also loom in the
mhm.
stuff with the villain, so both can be true, versus the first movie, I think the 3rd act falls apart, but everything else is so good that I don't care.
Right. Yeah, you're right or wrong. Um, for me, I think I'm gonna give it 7.
Okay.
It's tough. Like I originally would have given it like a 6, honestly. And it's definitely this viewing
That's an
definitely bumped it up.
improvement.
It's definitely bumped up. I'm struggling now because I'm kind of like I actually part of me liked this better than the Incredible Hulk. Part of me
Yeah,
did.
that's fair.
But I think the Incredible Hulk's more of a consistent movie.
Mhm.
Whereas Iron Man 2, the highs are really high and the lows are really low for me. Um, so my thought when I was gonna do I alter the Incredible Hulk and put it down? I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm gonna keep Iron Man
No.
2 underneath Incredible Hulk for me for right now, and definitely for me under the first Iron Man. But again, I do see its strengths, and it has bulked it up a little bit. So I think a 7 out of 11 is a pretty strong showing for me. I'm gonna
Yeah.
stick with that for a bit.
I'm very surprised that I have Hulk over these 2 right now, but I
Mhm.
think it is just because I think it's consistently, like, just a better movie.
Yeah, I remember when, we scored the Hulk, I always had Iron Man way above both these, and, this time through, I see more of the flaws in Iron Man, and I see
Yeah.
the betterness of Iron Man of Incredible Hulk and Iron Man 2. I couldn't put Incredible Hulk over Iron Man, I still can't in my way, I understand it. I understand why you're going
Yeah.
there. I think more and more, it's just about a lot of the world building works for me in Iron Man and Iron Man 2, where the
Yeah.
Incredible Hulk still feels a little detached, even despite its good it has some
Yeah,
good
for sure.
connectivity to it. It still does feel a little detached, especially I mean, Captain America: Brave New World helps a little bit,
Oh,
honestly,
100%.
because of the basically being a sequel to Incredible Hulk. Weirdly, is that's I still think that's a weird decision, but
I
it
mean, it
always is.
is. It sure is.
So I'm gonna go Iron Man 2 at a 7. You go as an 8. Not too far off at this point. It's gonna be really weird as we try to do this. We were gonna talk about this before rating these. We might have to come up with like I have a bonus episode where we just do a tier list and not worry about necessarily like which one is absolutely better.
Yeah.
We'll just have like 8 sevens or whatever. Um, so right now that's just what the tier we are, and we'll get there when we get there. The other thing we got to rate, which we didn't actually mention, I kind of didn't bring up. I said, oh, I'll wait till the end now we have to rank where our Stan Lee cameo falls as
Oh,
far as
yeah.
it goes.
I mean, this one's kind of a nothing cameo. I
It
love that
is.
I love the idea behind it. Um, I think it's kinda cute and fun, but, like, hmm, it's
Right
still
now, we both have Iron Man and then Incredible Hulk, just for
I
the
think it's
bat.
Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Hulk right now.
I'm right there with you. That's what I got
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah, okay, so we're in the same because I'm thinking about it, it's like, it is cute, don't get me
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah. It's humorous. It's very humorous.
And it's funny because they're definitely leaning in on the Stan Lee playing real people thing,
Yeah,
only for that to
half
be completely retconned by Guardians 2.
right, absolutely. That makes it, but it makes it fun. Because
Yeah,
he actually does look like Larry King. I'm like, oh well, there you go. I almost
right?
bought it for a second. I'm like, okay, cool.
Well, it's also because they do, like, the fish lens
Yes.
thing, so the angle's a little weird too, but I love it.
No, that kind of actually that we didn't mention that. That was kind of a weird the POV
That whole
choice was kind of
sequence is a little strange.
weird. I'm like, why did you it almost felt like a filmmaker just going, I want to make this, I want to do something cool here, but it didn't have a reason to do it in a way. Like
Yeah.
it felt like kind of
I
useless
think
in a way,
we were
pointless.
finally supposed to feel what it feels like to be Tony, like, from his
Yeah,
eyes, which is, like,
yeah.
a fine choice, I just don't know why.
It's like why then? What about that time
Yeah.
does that? It just kind of like you it felt superfluous, I guess is what to say.
Yeah.
No
No,
reason to do it. Yeah.
you're 100% right, I will not argue with that.
There. So, all right. I guess that will wrap things up for us here as on our Patreon exclusive. I don't even know if we mentioned that earlier on, but our Patreon exclusive on Iron Man 2. If you are seeing this and you're not on our Patreon, that must mean it's like late December, maybe even 2026, because that's how long it's going to take to get there. So if
How
you're not
dare
part
you,
of the
number
Patreon,
1, but also, I'm glad you're watching it.
if you're not part of the Patreon, you can see what you missed. There's a bunch of them already on there. We've done probably the whole phase 1 by now at this point. So you
Probably
can
through
go to
phase 2
Patreon.
almost.
You can go to Patreon and join up and see the rest of these now before they come out live on the YouTube channel. But if not, I get it. I totally understand. Tough times are tough.
I
You can
don't.
also
Let me stare into your soul. I don't understand. I don't. You know what? 1 month of us is one less Starbucks that you have to have. I see no problems here. Just, and I don't make money off of this. I'm just saying, for one less Starbucks a month, you could get more podcast episodes.
Absolutely.
That's all I'm saying.
I don't even make much money off this.
I'm just staring right into the fucking camera. I'm just like, fucking get on our Patreon. Sign up for the Patreon, god damn it.
It all goes back into the podcast anyway. Well, I'll be honest with you. But yeah, I get it. If you can't help that way, like, subscribe, leave comments, because that does help the
Share the podcast.
Share the podcast. Leave us a 5-star review on the audio side of things. Just get people watching more of this. We're trying to build a community. It'd be great to do. And leave comments, because we love talking to people in the chat. Or in the comments afterwards. Yeah, it's great if you are on Patreon listening to this. We are knee deep into our Superman run. And next time, by the time you hear this, you might have actually already seen Superman 2. I'm trying to think, because
it should be. Theoretically, yes, because Hulk should be out today.
Hulk is coming out today. The way we can recording is you're watching Incredible Hulk, and then next week we're doing Superman 2, and then the following.
We have so much juggling in where we're recording stuff versus not, and it's really weird. And Doctor Who is coming right around the corner. So if you're watching this now on the Patreon, next month we're going to be talking about Doctor Who. If you're listening to this right now on Patreon, we've probably already talked about Doctor Who and its Christmas special. So there's other stuff you can go back and listen to also, but it's weird because that's where we're at. Everything is so different because season 2 for Doctor Who starts next month.
Yeah.
Also, they're teasing something big, really big, happening this season apparently. So
I heard.
I really hope that means that they're they get their shit together and just announce another season. Because if it ends and we get a big reveal and then we end up in a wilderness era with no Doctor Who, I'm gonna be real pissed.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. And we can't end on a spinoff. We can't end on the sea, the world. No. Whatever, I can't remember. I don't remember the name of
the war between the Earth or the land and sea.
Yeah, that one. Can't end on that either way. All right, guys, that'll be it for us. We'll see you next time here on Patreon and the main channel. Love you guys. This has been a lot of fun for us. PJ, I shouldn't say PJ, where can the folks find you?
I was going to say, honestly, if you're on the Patreon, you probably already know, but at all the social medias, you can find me at PJ_Campbell, wherever podcasts and social medias are sold, hanging out with this dude, talking movies, mostly over on Blue Sky and Instagram these days. But, the bad place is still bad. I don't go over there very frequently.
Lion King enough. At Paul_Doomsday on Blue Sky for me. You can find me all over this channel. I do a lot of different podcasts: Star Wars podcasts, V podcast, Queen podcast, Class Action Live podcast is another movie podcast of mine where we put up things against each other. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun here, and hopefully you can join in. Until next time, though, we will see you later. Peace.
Peace out, bitches.